Chapter 1043. However, back then, Tang Ao and the other two's keys had been reforged. However, this set of keys had a heavy and ancient feeling that couldn't be faked. It was as old as the spirit locks. Tang Ao was very surprised that something like this would appear. Tang Ao still didn't know anything about the spirit lock's origin. However, since the spirit lock's key appeared here, Hong Xing would probably introduce some information. The item being auctioned this time is a bit special. As you can see, it's this set of keys. This set of keys was obtained by our treasure-gathering tower's Grand Elder, Chun Nanha, in the Xidagarba Cemetery. According to our guesses, it should be a key to open some kind of ruin or mechanism. However, over the years, our treasure-gathering tower has sent countless people into the Xidagarba Cemetery, but we still haven't found the place that needs this key. Therefore, we are taking out a portion of the keys to auction. Although Tang Ao had previously guessed that the spirit locks might be related to the mysterious Xidagarba Cemetery, he couldn't confirm it. Now that he heard Hong Xing say this, Tang Ao was sure that the spirit locks were from the Xidagarba Cemetery. However, Tang Ao didn't know what the spirit locks were locking. The starting price of this set of keys is 1 million mid-grade snow beads. Each increment must be no less than 100,000 snow beads. The bidding begins now. On the auction stage, Hong Xing said softly, 1,500,000. In the audience seats, a brawny man with a large hammer tattoo on his arm said. Seeing his attire and the tattoo on his arm, everyone immediately recognized his origin. He was a Divine Armament Valley's refiner. Hearing someone bid, Hong Xing's eyes flashed with a strange light, and an undetectable soul remembrance instantly marked this martial artist. The soul remembrance mark naturally wasn't Hong Xing, but a black-robed old man in the shadows of the auction house. 1,600,000. This time, the bid was made by Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao really wanted this set of keys, Tang Ao faintly felt that this set of keys wasn't so simple. The instant Tang Ao bid, Tang Ao clearly felt a soul remembrance envelop him, as if it wanted to see through him. However, this soul remembrance was very obscure. If it weren't for the fact that his soul remembrance far exceeded that of a martial artist of the same realm as him, coupled with the jade bone life spirit constantly strengthening his soul remembrance, he probably wouldn't have been able to detect this soul remembrance. Sure enough, there's a problem. Tang Ao thought in his heart, but his expression didn't change. In a dark corner of the auction hall, an old man in a black robe stood there quietly. His entire body seemed to have melded into the darkness. Even when his soul remembrance swept over, it was very difficult to detect where a person was standing. Tang Ao knew that the soul remembrance spying on him came from this direction, but when Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to observe, he didn't discover anything. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao activated his sky polar pupils and started searching the area. Under the detection of the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao was shocked to discover that in the dark corner of the wall stood a black-robed old man with a gloomy expression. At this moment, it was this person who was using his soul remembrance to spy on him. Although he was shocked, Tang Ao's expression didn't change at all. The old man's soul remembrance stopped on Tang Ao's body for a while. After finding nothing, he planted a soul remembrance mark on Tang Ao's body and then moved away. Chapter 1044. 1 million middle-grade snow pearls. Although Tang Ao was slightly afraid of the black-robed old man who had planted a soul remembrance imprint on him, Tang Ao still decisively bought this set of keys. The reason the black-robed old man had planted a soul remembrance imprint on him was because he wanted to understand the use of the keys. Tomorrow, after the pill concoction conference ended, Tang Ao would immediately enter the Xidagarba Cemetery. The Xidagarba Cemetery didn't have a cultivation limit, meaning that anyone with a high cultivation could enter. However, the Xidagarba Cemetery wasn't without a restriction. People over 100 years old couldn't enter. With this restriction, Tang Ao believed that he wouldn't encounter too much danger in the Xidigarba cemetery. The old man who had planted the soul remembrance imprint on him had a bone age of at least 1,000 years. Therefore, he had no chance to attack him. Moreover, as long as he didn't expose the use of the keys, he would be safe. However, what Tang Ao didn't expect was that Wang Yang, who had been tricked by him not long ago, made another bid. 2 million middle-grade snow pearls. This time, Wang Yang had brought a total of 8 million middle-grade snow pearls from his family. Just now, he had spent 6 million to buy a piece of trash. Wang Yang still didn't know how to buy this set of keys. However, what surprised Wang Yang was that the starting price of this set of keys was very low, and there weren't many people bidding. Therefore, Wang Yang used his remaining 2 million snow pearls and his savings over the years as a final struggle. If Tang Ao didn't know that he had a soul remembrance imprint planted by the black-robed old man, Tang Ao would definitely forcefully increase the price. However, right now, Tang Ao intentionally revealed a hesitant expression because Tang Ao knew that the black-robed old man's soul remembrance was spying on him. After hesitating for a while, Tang Ao pretended to helplessly shake his head. Seeing that Tang Ao didn't increase the price again, Wang Yang was overjoyed. He only had 2 million snow pearls on him now. Even if Tang Ao increased the price again, he wouldn't be able to keep up. Fortunately, Tang Ao didn't increase the price. Just as he was wondering why Tang Ao suddenly changed, Wang Yang thought of something. That was because Tang Ao thought that Yang Kai was carelessly bidding against him. Therefore, Tang Ao wanted to make Yang Kai suffer a setback. The more Wang Yang thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. He couldn't help but reveal a mocking smile. Red Apricot found it strange that Tang Ao had stopped bidding, but she still said, "Young Master Wang bids 2,200,000 snow beads. Is there a higher bid?" Wang Yang heard Red Apricot ask the crowd, and his heart was in his throat. At this moment, he only had 2 million snow pearls on him. As long as he could buy the key, everything else would be fine. If he couldn't bring the keys back, Wang Yang couldn't imagine what kind of punishment awaited him. 2 million going once. 2 million going twice. Is there no higher bid? Red Apricot deliberately shouted at the VIP room where Tang Ao was. 2,200,000 thrice sold. Congratulations to young Master Wang for winning this mysterious key. In the corner of the auction house, Yin Yu's brows creased deeply. This was the first time this key had been publicly auctioned like today, but this key had already had no less than 50 owners. However, the people who had obtained this key had all died. Even after 50 people had died, the key's secret hadn't been unraveled. Therefore, it was destined that more people would die because of this key. Chapter 1045. When Tang Ao saw the bunch of keys, his expression was very calm. There were not many fluctuations. However, the other 4 people's emotions fluctuated greatly. According to common sense, Tang Ao should not be too suspicious. But Yin Yu's instinct told him that Tang Ao might know more than the other 4. Young Master, I have found out. The brat in the heaven room C is called Tang Ao, and he is only at the 4th level of the Seas of Soul's realm. I have already asked the brothers to keep an eye on him. Once he leaves the auction, ask the brothers to kill him. A one-eyed warrior said coldly next to Wang Yang. Very good. Tang Ao, you dare to go against me? Your path has come to an end. Wang Yang sneered. After getting the keys, Wang Yang was in a good mood. The only thing that made him uncomfortable was that he was tricked by Tang Ao not long ago. Oh no. In the VIP room where Tang Ao was, Tang Ao suddenly mumbled. Seeing that Tang Ao was a bit strange, Shueli, who had been quiet, asked carefully, "What's wrong?" Hearing Shueli's voice, Tang Ao smiled apologetically. He had been focused on the auction and did not talk to Shueli. There is something wrong with the keys just now. I am probably being targeted. After the auction, you can use the teleportation spell to leave. With your cultivation, you should be able to protect yourself in the snow plane. As for the tunnel to the Five Elements demonic realm, I have no idea. Tang Ao said as he handed a 6th rank teleportation spell to Xueli. It was Xueli's first time seeing such a high-level teleportation spell, but after seeing how rich Tang Ao was, she was not surprised anymore. What about you if I run? Why don't you run with me? With such a high-level teleportation spell, no one should be able to find us. I want to enter the Xidigarba cemetery. I can't leave now, but I won't have any trouble in the short term. Even Tang Ao was not sure about what he said. If their positions were switched, and Tang Ao was that strange black-robed elder, he would definitely find him immediately to investigate the secrets of the keys. Thinking of this, Tang Ao used the sky polar pupils to scan the black-robed old man again. Under the detection of the sky polar pupils, the old man was still standing there calmly. However, the people around him didn't seem to notice his existence. When Tang Ao used the sky polarity pupils to investigate the area, the black-robed old man looked around in confusion. He seemed to have noticed Tang Ao's investigation. Tang Ao also hurriedly retracted his extreme heaven eyes. This black-robed old man's perception was too sharp. Tang Ao was worried that if he were to probe for too long, this old man would discover that he was probing him. As for the black-robed old man suspecting him, Tang Ao felt somewhat wronged. Up until now, he only knew that these keys could open the spiritual lock. As for other information, Tang Ao did not know. As for the other 4 people who participated in the bidding, especially Wang Yang, who won the key last, Tang Ao felt that he should know the most. Alright, although the next item is not an immortal weapon, it is the pinnacle of spiritual weapons. As soon as Red Apricot finished speaking, 2 attendants walked up with a halberd. The halberd was 6 feet long, and the crescent blades gleamed coldly. One look and anyone could tell that it was not an ordinary weapon. Tang Ao was very familiar with this halberd because it was Tang Ao who put it up for auction. Chapter 1046. The starting bid for this ancient halberd is 3 million mid-grade snow pearls. Each increment must be no less than 100,000 snow pearls. The bidding begins now. After a brief introduction, Red Apricot announced the start of the bidding. This level of spirit weapon must have come from the Divine Armament Valley. I wonder which weapon refining Grandmaster in the Divine Armament Valley refined it. Among the audience, a martial artist with a full beard said in a rough voice, "That's only natural. In the entire Winter Plains, only the weapon-forging masters of our Divine Armament Valley can forge such a treasure. If other weapon-forging masters wish to forge something like this, they should wait until their next life." A youth wearing the uniform of a Divine Armament Valley disciple chimed in. Although the 2 of them were in the audience, Tang Ao's VIP lounge was right above them. Thus, Tang Ao naturally heard their conversation. However, Tang Ao's emotions did not fluctuate. Such a minor character would not be able to attract Tang Ao's attention. This ancient halberd was really forged by the Divine Armament Valley. Just as Tang Ao was about to shift his attention, a familiar voice suddenly rang out. Tang Ao looked over and saw Chu Yuqing, who had disappeared for a long time. Back then, Chu Yuqing had invited him to explore the Xidigarba cemetery together. Afterwards, he disappeared. Who would have thought that he would reappear here today? Tang Ao also recognized the beautiful lady beside Chu Yuqing. It was Xiao Yuding, the one who disliked Chu Yuqing back then. Xiao Yuding's snow-white shoulders were covered by a red maple umbrella. From the first time Tang Ao met Xiao Yuding, Tang Ao had discovered that this red maple umbrella and Xiao Yuding were inseparable. After Chu Yuqing's inquiry, Xiao Yuding asked in surprise, "Don't you use swords? When did you become interested in halberds? I heard that Brother Lu Hen is proficient in all 36 types of weapons." This halberd is not bad. Why don't you bid for it and give it to him as a gift? Chu Yuqing took a sip of wine from the gourd at his waist, and said half-jokingly. Hearing Chu Yuqing's suggestion, Xiao Yuding's eyes lit up. That blockhead Lu Hen likes to collect these things. I can bid for it and give it to him. Just as Chu Yuqing was about to continue speaking, his eyes suddenly flashed with a golden light, and he immediately looked in Tang Ao's direction. When he saw that it was Tang Ao in the room, Chu Yuqing smiled warmly. Then, he transmitted his voice to Tang Ao, so it's Brother Tang. I was wondering who was watching me. Long time no see. How have you been, Brother Tang? Chu Yuqing and Xiao Yuding had clearly just arrived at the Cloud Foothill auction, so they did not know what had happened earlier. Not bad, not bad. It's just that I'm not as carefree as Brother Chu. Brother Chu, are you here because you've taken a fancy to some treasure? Once the pill refining conference ends tomorrow, we will be heading to the Xidigarba Cemetery. We came here today to prepare for the trip to the Xidigarba Cemetery. Chu Yuqing used soul remembrance to reply. While Tang Ao and Chu Yuqing were chatting, the price of Tang Ao's ancient halberd had already risen to a whopping 5 million mid-grade snow pearls. 5 million mid-grade snow pearls, this lady wants it. Xiao Yuding pouted a bit angrily. Clearly, she was very unhappy that people were constantly competing with her. 6 million mid-grade snow pearls. Young lady Xiao, please don't compete with me. In the first heaven room, Jing Jiushan laughed bitterly. This was the first time Jing Jiushan had bid on an item at the Cloud Foothill auction. However, Jing Jiushan did not expect that the item he had taken a fancy to would also be taken by the Xiao family's young lady. The Xiao family was abnormally low-key in the ice and snow plains, but that didn't mean they didn't have strength. For example, his Jing family was also unknown to most people. However, the Jing family was not much weaker than the so-called 9 great tribes. Chapter 1047. This was not Tang Ao boasting, but rather confidence in his own refining abilities. When Tang Ao had first forged this halberd, he had not used the common 6th grade spiritual materials. Instead, he had used the profound frost iron, which was rather special among the 6th grade spiritual materials. Therefore, if a martial artist who cultivated the ice attribute used this halberd, its power would be even stronger. In reality, profound cold iron was a very good material for refining, but it was too special. Normal flames could not melt profound cold iron. Therefore, most refiners loved and hated profound cold iron. They wanted to use profound cold iron to refine weapons, but they could not melt it. But Tang Ao was different from other refiners. Tang Ao had the underworld fate spirit and could summon the netherworld flame from the underworld. The pinnacle of the netherworld flame was the legendary immortal nether flame. Although the nether flame that Tang Ao summoned was not at the level of the immortal nether flame, it was more than enough to melt profound cold iron. Therefore, profound cold iron that was useless in the hands of other refiners could be easily refined into a spiritual weapon by Tang Ao. Brother Tang Ao, what do you think of this halberd? At this time, Chu Yuqing sent another message to Tang Ao. Tang Ao did not answer Chu Yuqing, but instead asked, "What does Brother Chu think?" Chu Yuqing had the Emperor's spiritual eyes. Tang Ao also wanted to know how powerful Chu Yuqing's Emperor's spiritual eyes were. Brother Tang, to tell you the truth, this spiritual weapon is definitely in the top 3 of the 6th grade spiritual weapons I've seen. The material used to forge this ancient halberd was very special. It was a material called black frost iron. If Brother Tang wants to use this halberd as a weapon, I can buy it for you. Hearing Chu Yuqing's words, Tang Ao secretly praised Chu Yuqing's sharp eyes. If it was profound cold iron that had not been refined into a spiritual weapon, any refiner, or even a refiner apprentice, would be able to recognize it. But profound cold iron was good for refining spiritual weapons. All kinds of inscription arrays hid the common characteristics of profound cold iron. Without some special methods, it would be hard to tell that it was a spiritual weapon refined from profound cold iron. If Miss Xiao likes this spiritual weapon, you can come to our Divine Armament Valley and ask a master to customize it for you. There is no need to be angry. The Divine Armament Valley disciple sitting in front of Xiao Yuding saw that Xiao Yuding was pouting unhappily and immediately tried to curry favor with her. Don't talk big. Even old man Li Tianjun wouldn't be able to forge such a spirit tool. Chu Yuqing had already explained the uniqueness of this halberd to Xiao Yuding. It was precisely because of this that Xiao Yuding wanted to buy it. However, what made Xiao Yuding depressed was that the Zheng clan's second clan head was bidding against her. Clearly, he could tell that this halberd was extraordinary. Miss Xiao is too serious. This spiritual weapon originally came from my Divine Armament Valley. How can Miss Xiao say that Valley Master Li is unable to forge such a spiritual weapon? While Xiao Yuding was arguing with the disciple of the Divine Armament Valley, a youth in embroidered robes walked in front of Xiao Yuding and said indifferently. Tang Ao also saw this person. After seeing him, Tang Ao's eyes turned cold. Tang Ao recognized this person. His name was Yi Fan, and it seemed that his background was not simple. When Tang Ao was seriously injured and unconscious, this person even took away his storage ring. Although Tang Ao did not put anything good in that storage ring, Tang Ao still remembered this debt. Chapter 1048. After Tang Ao spoke, Xiao Yuding looked at Tang Ao with some confusion. Because Tang Ao had changed his appearance, Xiao Yuding did not recognize that this scholar was the Tang Ao she had met not long ago. Although he managed to fool Xiao Yuding, he could not fool Chu Yuqing. However, Chu Yuqing did not point this out. Instead, he looked on with interest. Who do you think you are? Do you think you have the right to interrupt when I am talking to Miss Xiao? Yi Fan was used to being arrogant. Apart from people of the same level as him, Yi Fan always looked at others with a sense of superiority. Yi Fan had many women by his side, but the alluring Xiao Yuding before him was something he could only dream of. It was just that Xiao Yuding had always been rude to him. Instead, she was very close to Chu Yuqing. Whether it was Xiao Yuding or Chu Yuqing, their statuses were higher than his. Therefore, even though Yi Fan was filled with jealousy, he did not dare to act out. But now, a kid who came out of nowhere dared to gossip in front of him. Was this not courting death? Do you have the right to ask about my identity? The current Tang Ao was not the heavily injured Tang Ao from before. Back then, when Tang Ao met Yi Fan, he was heavily injured by the shadow beast and could only play dead. Yi Fan saw that his storage ring was not bad and took it away. If not for Bai Suru of the Frost tribe saving Tang Ao, he would have died. Tang Ao's words stunned Yi Fan. In his entire life, no one had ever dared to be so arrogant in front of him. Just as Yi Fan was about to say something, Tang Ao suddenly said, "Since you want to know, there is no harm in telling you. This ancient halberd was forged by me." After Yi Fan heard this, he laughed maniacally a few times, pointed at Tang Ao and scolded, "You really have guts, you actually dare to pretend to be my Divine Armament Valley's refiner." Tang Ao looked at Yi Fan mockingly and asked, "Do you think that all the blacksmiths in the world are from Armament Valley?" Humph, apart from the craftsmen in the God Armament Valley, there are no craftsmen in the Snow Plain who can forge such a spiritual weapon. It's not difficult to find out which master made this spirit weapon, but it's definitely not made by you. 90% of the weapon forgers in the Winter Plain were from the God Weapon Valley. The best blacksmiths had always been gathered in the Divine Armament Valley. Therefore, Yi Fan concluded that this heavenly halberd must have been forged by a master blacksmith from the Divine Armament Valley. How about this, if this ancient halberd is forged by the weaponsmiths of my Divine Weapon Valley, this young master will break one of your arms. Do you dare? Yi Fan stared coldly at Tang Ao. If this wasn't the Yunlu auction, Yi Fan wouldn't mind teaching Tang Ao a lesson. However, the Yunlu auction prohibited fighting, so even Yi Fan didn't dare break the rules of the treasure trove pavilion. If this heavenly halberd is not forged by the weaponsmiths of the Divine Armament Valley, then what? Tang Ao didn't immediately agree and instead asked. That's impossible. If that's the case, this young master will let you deal with me. Yi Fan said without hesitation. 7 million mid-grade snow beads. Xiao Yuding didn't have the slightest interest in the argument between Tang Ao and Yi Fan. Right now, Xiao Yuding only wanted to bid for this halberd. Therefore, Xiao Yuding didn't hear Tang Ao say that this halberd was forged by him. Xiao Yuding didn't hear it, but Chu Yuqing did. Moreover, Chu Yuqing clearly believed it. Earlier on, you said that this ancient halberd wasn't forged by a weapon refiner from the Divine Armament Valley. In that case, who did you say forged this halberd? After quoting the price, Xiao Yuding casually turned around and asked Tang Ao. Chapter 1049. Xiao Yuding had seen a lot of people who bragged, but she had never seen such a shameless person. Chu Yuqing had already explained the special characteristics of this halberd to her very clearly, so she knew that this halberd wasn't something a normal person could refine. Yet, Tang Ao was so young, yet he dared to shamelessly say that this halberd was forged by him. This is the proof of auction for this halberd. Do you have anything else to say? Tang Ao took out the proof treasure gathering tower had given him when he first put up the halberd for auction. This was a specially made jade tablet that recorded the information of the auction item. Seeing this, Yi Fan and Xiao Yuding were both dumbfounded. Brother Tang, you truly are extraordinary. Chu Yuqing couldn't help but praise. Of course, this wasn't praise for Tang Ao's wealth, but rather praise for Tang Ao's artifact forging skills. Just now, Chu Yuqing believed that this halberd was forged by Tang Ao. Now that Tang Ao had taken out the proof of auction, there was naturally no need to say anything else. However, after Chu Yuqing finished speaking, he suddenly realized he had made a slip of the tongue. He had Emperor Spirit eyes, so he could naturally see Tang Ao's true identity. However, since Tang Ao had chosen to appear like this, he definitely had a purpose. Yet, he had made a slip of the tongue and revealed Tang Ao's true identity. Although Yi Fan might not know, he definitely couldn't hide it from Xiao Yuding. You know each other? Xiao Yuding looked at Tang Ao and Chu Yuqing with some surprise. Immediately, her glass-like eyes swept over Tang Ao and said, I was wondering who it was, so it's you. Tang Ao was shocked. Chu Yuqing could recognize him because he had the monarch's spiritual eyes, but how could Xiao Yuding recognize him? Could it be that Xiao Yuding also had the monarch's spiritual eyes? Brother Tang, Lady Xiao is especially sensitive to soul remembrance. Everyone's soul remembrance is unique, so Lady Xiao was able to recognize you from your soul remembrance. Perhaps knowing that Tang Ao was shocked, Chu Yuqing took the initiative to transmit to Tang Ao. After hearing Chu Yuqing's explanation, Tang Ao suddenly understood. Martial artists had all sorts of strange innate talents, so it was not surprising that Xiao Yuding had this kind of special innate talent. Cowardly scoundrel. Yi Fan was not as capable as Chu Yuqing and Xiao Yuding. He could not see through Tang Ao's true appearance, but he could tell that Tang Ao was concealing his true appearance. Thus, he mocked him. Although this Tang hides his head and shows his tail, I've never been a thief. Does young Master Yi Fan's words still count? Just now, Yi Fan had made an agreement with Tang Ao. As long as Tang Ao could prove that the halberd was forged by Tang Ao, Yi Fan would let Tang Ao do whatever he wanted. I, Yi Fan, naturally keep my word. However, even if you take out the proof, how can you prove that this halberd was forged by you? Allow me to carefully investigate. Once I've investigated, I'll naturally give you an explanation. Yi Fan wanted to act shamelessly now. In Yi Fan's heart, He was already 50% convinced that this halberd was forged by Tang Ao. After speaking, Yi Fan coldly harumphed and quickly left. Yi Fan was only 50% convinced, but Xiao Yuding was completely convinced. Xiao Yuding smiled sweetly at Tang Ao and softly said, "Senior Tang Ao, since this halberd was forged by you, can you help me forge a soul weapon? After all, we're in the same team." Xiao Yuding's sudden change in attitude caused Tang Ao's heart to tighten. This girl's words were definitely a trap. What kind of soul weapon does Lady Xiao want to forge? Tang Ao didn't immediately agree to Xiao Yuding's request. Instead, he asked carefully. Chapter 1050. So it was just repairing a soul weapon. Tang Ao let out a sigh of relief. The current Tang Ao could even forge a peak 6th grade soul weapon. Repairing a damaged soul weapon naturally wasn't a problem. It was just that Tang Ao couldn't understand why Xiao Yuding would be willing to let him repair this spiritual artifact for her. Xiao Yuding was also a bit hesitant. Though Chu Yuqing's evaluation of Tang Ao wasn't low, the treasure she wanted to repair wasn't a soul weapon, but an immortal weapon. The material used to forge this immortal weapon was a very special immortal material. She had visited numerous divine armament valleys refining masters, but none of them could do anything. Now that she saw that Tang Ao could refine a peak grade 6 spiritual artifact, Xiao Yuding wanted to give it a try and see if Tang Ao could repair this immortal artifact. And, coincidentally, the jade pendant on Chu Yuqing's waist lit up. Chu Yuqing inserted his soul remembrance, and received a message from Li Muling. "Brother Tang, do you still want to bid for treasures? If not, senior sister Li Muling is gathering us at the Frost Forest." In this Cloud Foothill auction, Tang Ao had already bought all the items he wanted. As for the remaining items, Tang Ao didn't really want to buy. Though Tang Ao was interested in the following item exchange, since Li Muling was gathering everyone, Tang Ao naturally had to follow Chu Yuqing. The Frost Forest was in the Cloud Foothill mountain range. There were violent snowstorms year-round, causing visibility to be extremely low. When Tang Ao and the other two walked here, they all put up a spirit energy barrier to block out the oncoming snowstorm. Though the snowstorm couldn't harm Tang Ao and the others, it was like a steel knife scraping against their faces, making them very uncomfortable. "What took you so long?" When Li Muling, who was dressed in snow-white training garb, saw Tang Ao and the other two, she immediately wrapped her arms around Tang Ao and Chu Yuqing's necks and walked into the Frost Forest. Chu Yuqing was already used to this. Tang Ao, on the other hand, found it a little strange. This big sister of his was a little too intimate. They hadn't seen each other for a few days. Was there a need to be like this? Seeing Li Muling hugging Tang Ao and Chu Yuqing, Xiao Yuding giggled at the side. After walking for a while, Tang Ao raised his head and saw a light screen in front of him. Although the arrangement method was still considered concealed, Tang Ao could still see that this was a level 5 concealment grand array. In the Frost Forest, soul remembrance was already suppressed quite a bit. Adding on this 5th rank concealment array, normal people would have a hard time finding this place. After passing through this curtain of light, a simple campsite appeared in front of Tang Ao's group. At this moment there was a bonfire in the middle of the camp, and there were 6 people around it. These 6 people had different cultivation bases, but they all gave off a very special feeling. "Huh, Lu Hen, you got here a long time ago." Xiao Yuding's eyes were a bit happy. Although Xiao Yuding had brought Lu Hen here a few times, Lu Hen had a terrible sense of direction, so Xiao Yuding was a bit worried that Lu Hen wouldn't be able to find this place. Tang Ao followed Xiao Yuding's gaze. The person called Lu Hen was a young man wearing a mithril chainmail armor. Next to the young man was a long spear. The long spear was overflowing with a cold glint, giving off a sharp feeling. When Tang Ao was observing Lu Hen also saw Tang Ao. "Brother Tang Ao, I'm Lu Hen. Your martial techniques aren't bad, and I've wanted to spar with you for a long time." Chapter 1051. You only know how to fight. Li Muling patted Lu Hen's head unhappily, then said to Tang Ao, "These are all the members of our team. We already know some of them, but we don't know some of them. Let me introduce them to everyone." Li Muling pointed at Chu Yuqing and said, "I don't need to introduce Chu Yuqing. There should be no one here who doesn't know him." Then Li Muling pointed at Tang Ao and said, "This is Chu Yuqing's partner, Tang Ao. Although his cultivation level is average, he is very strong. He also has a jade bone life soul. He will be of great help to everyone in Xidagarba Cemetery." After introducing Tang Ao and Lu Hen, Li Muling pointed at a white-robed youth sitting cross-legged not far away and said, "This is my partner, Song Zizhang. Zizhang cultivates the shaman art. If you are interested, you can talk to Zizhang." Tang Ao looked in the direction that Li Muling was pointing at and saw a young man in a white robe. The young man was sitting upright with a thick scroll in front of him. The scroll glowed faintly. It was clearly not an ordinary item. "This little girl is..." Just as Li Muling was about to introduce a little girl to everyone, she suddenly stood up and said crisply, "Hello, big brother, big sister. I am Yi Luoluo. I will be partnering with big brother Xiaowuji on this trip to Xidagarba Cemetery." Yi Luoluo was extremely cute, but Tang Ao was not fooled by her appearance. Under Tang Aotian's polar eyes detection, Yi Luoluo's spiritual power was the purest among everyone present. Furthermore, Yi Luoluo's cultivation was also the second highest, second only to Li Muling, who had the highest cultivation. Xiaowuji, whom Yi Luoluo mentioned, did not say anything. He had been resting with his eyes closed. "Brother Tang Ao, I have seen all the people here. They all know me, Old Chen. Let me tell you." A muscular youth with 2 axes strapped to his back stood up and said to Tang Ao. Through the muscular youth's introduction, Tang Ao knew that the muscular youth was called Chen Jinwei. His weapons were the 2 Tiangang battle axes on his back. Chen Jinwei's partner was a young man with grizzled hair in the corner. This person's name was Yao Chen, and he was a disciple of an important figure in the Medicine Refinement Valley. He himself was also a peak 6th grade alchemist. However, what he was best at was not alchemy, but refining poisons. The rest of them were full of praise for his skills in alchemy and poison refining. It was obvious that he was not to be underestimated. At this point, Tang Ao finally knew the members of Li Muling's team. After everyone got to know each other, Li Muling took out a bunch of scrolls. Then, he turned to Tang Ao and the others and said, "These scrolls contain information about some of the treasures in the Xidagarba Cemetery. The Xidagarba Cemetery is divided into 9 regions. The first 3 regions are not very dangerous, so everyone should move alone. There are some powerful shadow beasts in the middle 3 regions. I suggest that everyone move in pairs." Speaking till here, Li Muling paused for a moment. "As for the last 3 regions, they are extremely dangerous, so we have to gather in the Thunder Dragon Valley and make arrangements according to the actual situation. Try your best to find all the treasures recorded on the scroll, but after 3 months, regardless of whether you find any treasures or not, you must gather at the Thunder Dragon Valley. Now, each of you can choose 3 to 5 scrolls that you need." Chapter 1052. Although there were at least 50 scrolls on the ground, everyone had a tacit understanding. Everyone only took 3 scrolls and nothing more. This time, the quota to enter the Earth Bodhisattva Cemetery was provided by Li Muling. Before entering the cemetery, Li Muling had given everyone such a huge benefit. Therefore, not only Tang Ao, everyone was curious about what Li Muling was doing in Xidagarba Cemetery. "Senior Sisterly, may I know why you have gathered all of us here in the Xidagarba Cemetery?" Seeing that no one was asking, Tang Ao asked curiously. "Well, now that you have received my benefits, you can't back out even if you want to." Li Muling did not reply immediately. Hearing Li Muling's words, Tang Ao felt as if he had boarded a pirate ship. Actually, this time I asked you to team up because I accidentally found out an incredible secret. I don't need to say more about the astral reaching realm above the life and death realm, but I'm sure everyone knows what is above the astral reaching realm, right? Li Muling said proudly. Above the astral reaching realm is the yin-yang realm, chaotic sky realm, and Tao sovereign realm. However, the last three realms are legendary realms. The ice-snow plane has never produced warriors of these three realms. Although Tang Ao also knew this time it was not Tang Ao who spoke, but Song Zizhang who was holding an animal skin book in his hand. How did you know? Li Muling looked at Song Zizhang in surprise. She did not expect Song Zizhang to know this. Could it be that Senior Sister Li called us here because of these three realms? Tang Ao already knew about the realms after the astral reaching realm, so Tang Ao was not too interested in it. Well, actually, rumor has it that there is another realm after the Tao sovereign realm called the Divine King realm. I accidentally found out that the Earth Bodhisattva Cemetery is actually the place where a Divine King realm warrior died. Therefore, you can think of this gathering as looking for the Divine King's inheritance. Of course, if we find the inheritance, we will share it equally. I will not take it all for myself. In addition, there is another more important thing. You all have to help me tame the Thunder Dragon Valley's dragon soul. I have a martial skill that needs that dragon soul. Now, Tang Ao finally understood that Li Muling had gathered them mainly to deal with a dragon soul. As for finding the inheritance of a God King realm expert, Tang Ao could only hear about it. The Ksitigarbha Mausoleum was the ruin of an expert. However, Tang Ao did not believe that the Ksitigarbha Mausoleum was the ruin of a God King realm expert. Tang Ao had come into contact with Emperor Hades, Shenong Emperor, Empress Yulong, Yun Xiaoyao, and many other celestial turbid realm experts. Therefore, Tang Ao could imagine how terrifying the so-called God King realm was. Furthermore, even Ming Di wasn't sure if there were any divine kings in this world. Moreover, Li Muling didn't know where she got this information from. The credibility of this information was still up for debate. Alright, that's all for today. Once the alchemy conference ends tomorrow, we will immediately enter the Ksitigarbha Cemetery. Let me emphasize again, 3 months later, we must gather at the Thunder Dragon Valley. Wait for me to tame the dragon soul there, then we will decide on our next course of action. After Li Muling finished speaking, everyone dispersed. Chu Yuqing arrived beside Tang Ao. After drinking a mouthful of wine, he casually said to Tang Ao, "Brother Tang, where are you going?" Chapter 1053. Tang Ao did not need the spots to enter the Ksitigarbha Cemetery, but he could give them to Bai Suru and Bing Exin. These people were the friends that Tang Ao had made when he first came to the Winter Plains. Since he could help them, Tang Ao would not reject it. Plus, Tang Ao wanted to see how good the alchemists in the Winter Plains were. This conference was hosted by the Medicine-Making Valley, and it could be said to be the highest-level conference in the Winter Plains. Besides the few old alchemists from the Medicine-Making Valley, all the other top alchemists would be participating in this conference. Brother Tang, please wait a moment. After Tang Ao finished talking to Chu Yuqing, he was ready to return to the Sky Fragrance restaurant. However, before Tang Ao could take a few steps, Lu Hen's voice came from behind him. When Tang Ao turned around, he happened to see an arrow in Lu Hen's hand. Tang Ao forced a smile. It turned out that the last arrow that he shot out was on Lu Hen. After Lu Hen came over, Xiao Yuding followed him as well. Seeing the arrow in Lu Hen's hand, Xiao Yuding chuckled. What a coincidence! I was just in time to see you two fight. Brother Tang, please enlighten me. Lu Hen did not waste any time. He shook the long spear in his hand and suppressed his cultivation to the 4th level of the Seas of Souls realm, the same level as Tang Ao. Lu Hen was also one of Tang Ao's companions this time. Since Lu Hen wanted to spar, Tang Ao wanted to see how powerful he was. Facing Lu Hen, Tang Ao did not hold back at all. He attacked right away, and a dark purple 1-meter-long sword appeared in Tang Ao's hand. It was indeed the spirit sword that Tang Ao rarely used. Take this. The long spear in Lu Hen's hand exploded with a bright silver light. Tang Ao saw a silver killing light coming toward his throat. This silver light was bright and swift, and its power was not weak at all. Tang Ao stepped to the side and twisted his body, dodging the spear in Lu Hen's hand. At the same time, he swung his leg towards Lu Hen's head. The explosive sound in the air illustrated the strength of Tang Ao's whip kick. In the face of Tang Ao's swift and violent kick, Lu Hen did not dodge. The moment he retracted his spear, he swept it out again, straight towards Tang Ao's calf. Tang Ao's move seemed fierce, but in reality it was just a test. Now that he saw Lu Hen change his move, Tang Ao instantly retreated and stabbed out with his sword. Lu Hen reacted quickly and changed his move in an instant. The long spear in his hand spat out a cold light, just like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue. The tip of the spear just happened to collide with the tip of Tang Ao's sword. In an instant, sparks flew everywhere, causing Xiao Yuting's beautiful eyes to shine. Chu Yuqing's foresight had never been bad. This time, Chu Yuqing had chosen Tang Ao as his partner. His foresight was even better. Xiao Yuting did not know if Chu Yuqing had seen Tang Ao's shocking strength when he chose Tang Ao as his partner. But now, Xiao Yuting understood that if Tang Ao's cultivation was the same as Lu Hen's, then his strength would not be any lower than Lu Hen's. Lu Hen's current cultivation was at the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, but at this stage, Lu Hen could be said to be an invincible existence. Even when fighting against opponents in the life and death realm, Lu Hen rarely lost. If Tang Ao could grow to Lu Hen's level, then it was very likely that he would become an existence that surpassed Lu Hen. Chapter 1054. Sword light spat out and thunder roared. The battle between Tang Ao and Lu Hen made Xiao Yuting's beautiful eyes shine. After knowing Lu Hen for so long, this was the first time Xiao Yuting had seen someone not be at a disadvantage when facing Lu Hen head-on. It was just that Tang Ao's cultivation was too low, so Lu Hen could only suppress his cultivation. If the two of them had the same cultivation, how shocking would this battle be? 7 Slaughter Divine Path. Tang Ao roared and all the spiritual energy in his body surged towards the Green Lotus Sword Soul. The Green Lotus Sword suddenly buzzed and the sword body trembled. Following which, they turned into 7 rays of light and flew towards Lu Hen. Facing such an attack, Lu Hen still used the Cold Moon Spear to block it. The Cold Moon Spear was like a living thing in Lu Hen's hand. No matter how Tang Ao attacked, he couldn't break through Lu Hen's dense spear net. However, Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword also held Lu Hen back. While Lu Hen was busy, Tang Ao's body flashed with a golden light and he immediately rushed forward. The Netherworld Sword that he had just put away appeared in Tang Ao's hand once again. When Lu Hen came back to his senses and noticed Tang Ao, it was already too late. The cold and sharp Netherworld Sword had already reached Lu Hen. Tang Ao's underworld life spirit had already spread out and enveloped the space where he and Lu Hen were fighting. Lu Hen's strength was not ordinary. If Tang Ao wanted to win, he had to use his advantage to the extreme. Tang Ao had the 9 Dragons Emperor Jade body and a huge soul sea. In terms of life spirits, warriors of the same level were no match for Tang Ao. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't want to fight head-on with Lu Hen. Instead, he was waiting for the opportunity to release the underworld life spirit. Within the range of the underworld life spirit, Tang Ao could control the Netherworld Sword to attack from anywhere. Although Tang Ao didn't continue attacking, Lu Hen had already lost. Indeed, after seeing Tang Ao's underworld life soul, Lu Hen's figure turned into a series of afterimages and instantly appeared outside the underworld life soul. Seeing Lu Hen's exquisite movement technique, Tang Ao was slightly surprised. Lu Hen had such a marvelous movement technique. Even if he had followed up with another attack, he might not have been able to do anything to Lu Hen. Brother Tang Ao, you are indeed slightly better. Lu Hen admits defeat. After leaving the range of the underworld life soul, Lu Hen said straightforwardly, "At the 4th level of the Seas of Soul's realm, you and I are evenly matched. However, I have an appointment with Shangguan Wan Air from the Sky Fragrance restaurant. Therefore, I can only say that Brother Lu Hen has lost." Although Lu Hen had been passive in the last move, it wouldn't be easy for him to defeat Lu Hen. Moreover, Tang Ao knew that he and Lu Hen still had trump cards that they hadn't used yet. Therefore, today's battle could be considered a draw. After the battle with Lu Hen, Tang Ao directly returned to the Sky Fragrance restaurant. Along the way, Tang Ao was very vigilant. This time, there were a lot of people who had their eyes on him, especially Yin Yu, who had planted a soul remembrance imprint on Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao originally thought that the first one to find him would be this Yin Yu. However, what surprised Tang Ao was that even now, Tang Ao hadn't found any trace of Yin Yu. Yin Yu obviously didn't forget about Tang Ao. At this moment, Yin Yu was chasing after Wang Yang, because the important key was still in Wang Yang's hands. Even if Yin Yu was suspicious of Tang Ao, he wouldn't dare to lose the key. However, Yin Yu's expression was extremely ugly right now, because Wang Yang had slipped away right under his nose. Chapter 1055. Of course, Tang Ao didn't use the spatial jade talisman to teleport thousands of miles away. At this moment, Tang Ao had already returned to his room in the Heavenly Fragrance Tower. The reason Yin Yu couldn't sense Tang Ao's location was because the soul remembrance imprint he left on Tang Ao had already been removed by Tang Ao. After beating Lu Hen, Tang Ao received the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest's map as promised. Xidagarba Cemetery was split into 9 large regions. The Spirit Ice Fruit Forest was in the middle 3 regions. Li Muling had given him many scrolls that were very tempting to Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao's main goal in entering Xidagarba Cemetery was to recover his strength. Therefore, Tang Ao only chose 3 scrolls that he needed the most. The night quickly passed. The next morning, Tang Ao packed his things and headed to Yunlu Plaza. Yunlu Plaza was located in the center of Yunlu City. It was enormous and could hold hundreds of thousands of people without feeling crowded. At the center of the plaza, there were 1,000 pill furnaces. These pill furnaces were prepared for this conference. To ensure fairness, the conference didn't allow pill refiners to prepare their own pill furnaces and spiritual plant. After showing his jade token, Tang Ao entered the venue where the alchemy conference would be held. At this moment, there were still 2 hours before the start of the alchemy conference. Some of the alchemists who had arrived earlier were chatting with each other, while others were quietly resting with their eyes closed. Brother Tang Ao, good luck. Little Bing Xian and Bing Xiao, who hadn't seen each other in a long time, were also here today. What surprised Tang Ao was that Bing Feng, who had some conflict with Tang Ao, was also here. Tang Ao remembered that Bing Xian had said that Bing Feng wasn't a bad person. He just didn't know why, but his personality was a bit rebellious. Tang Ao smiled and waved at Bing Xian before continuing to walk towards the center of the plaza. Tang Ao, good luck. Another familiar voice rang out. Tang Ao turned around and saw Bai Suru, who had saved him before. Miss Bai, long time no see. You've gotten even prettier. Tang Ao looked at the pure and innocent Bai Suru and said half-jokingly. After hearing Tang Ao's words, Bai Suru rolled her eyes at Tang Ao, then whispered, "This time, if the Frost tribe gets enough spots, I'll secretly give you a spot to enter the Xidagarba Cemetery." Tang Ao's heart warmed. He did not expect Bai Suru to still remember that he needed a spot to enter the Xidagarba Cemetery after so long. But now, Tang Ao did not need Baisuru to give him a spot. If Baisuru needed a spot, Tang Ao could give her a few. The first place of the alchemy conference had 100 spots, the second place had 99 spots, and so on. As long as Tang Ao could get into the top 30, there would be no end to the number of spots. And Tang Ao was a peak 6th tier alchemist. Getting into the top 30 was not a problem for Tang Ao at all. Brother Tang Ao sure knows a lot of people. A gentle and refined voice rang out. Then, a white-haired youth walked towards Tang Ao. This person was Yao Chen, whom Tang Ao had met yesterday. According to Chu Yuqing, Yao Chen was known to be an expert in both medicine and poison. He was an expert in both concocting pills and poisons. Since Brother Yao Chen is participating in the alchemy conference, then I wish Brother Yao Chen the best of luck. Chu Yuqing's evaluation of Yao Chen was quite high. Although Tang Ao was very confident in his alchemy abilities, Tang Ao would not underestimate Yao Chen. Chapter 1056. Tang Ao guessed that Yao Chen's situation was most likely the latter. Medicine Refining Valley's Alchemy Conference was the #1 event for pill refiners on the ice and snow plains. Almost 90% of the peak pill refiners on the ice and snow plains would participate in such a grand event. However, facing such a grand event, Yao Chen's tone was still calm. Clearly, obtaining a spot in the top 100 was a small matter to him. After Yao Chen left, Tang Ao walked towards a pill furnace according to the number on his jade card. Tang Ao's jade card was Pill Refiner 2146. Clearly, there were over 2,000 pill refiners before Tang Ao. Out of curiosity, Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to sweep over all the pill furnaces on the plaza. Subsequently, Tang Ao found out that there were a total of 5,000 pill refiners participating in this alchemy conference. Although Tang Ao was a peak 6th grade pill refiner, this was the first time Tang Ao had participated in this alchemy conference. Seeing the sea of people on the plaza, Tang Ao's heart surged. Under the watchful eyes of the public, coming out on top in such a grand event should be a very meaningful thing. Just as Tang Ao was observing his pill furnace, Tang Ao suddenly discovered that the crowd in the spectator stands exploded into cheers. It was as if an extremely famous pill refiner had arrived. Tang Ao's guess wasn't wrong. At this moment, outside the plaza, a flying car slowly descended from the clouds. At the top of the flying car was a pill furnace that emitted waves of mist. It's Medicine Refining Valley's Old Medicine King. A pill refiner next to Tang Ao said respectfully. 90% of the ice and snow plains pill dough came from Medicine Refining Valley. Currently, many peak pill refiners had studied under the Old Medicine King when they were young. Many of the pill refiners participating this time were, strictly speaking, the Old Medicine King's disciples. Tang Ao followed the person's gaze and saw an old man with white hair and a beard. He looked like an immortal. The old man held a horsetail whisk in his hand, and beside him was a girl as beautiful as a fairy. Tang Ao recognized this woman. She was Chu Xuehan, whom he met not long ago at the Yunlu auction. However, Tang Ao didn't know why Chu Xuehan was with the Old Medicine King. Is that the little princess of the Medicine Refining Valley, Chu Xuehan? I heard that under the guidance of the Old Medicine King, Chu Xuehan has become a 6th grade alchemist. Her talent is truly monstrous. In this alchemy conference, we're just there to serve as props. I counted the number of 6th grade alchemists participating in the alchemy conference, and there are 13 of them. There are only 20 famous 6th grade alchemists in the ice and snow plains, and more than half of them have come this time. Could it be that the alchemy conference this time is different from the past? Why are there so many top-notch alchemists here? It's not a secret. Everyone knows that there's a sacred mountain in the 9th region of the Xitigarbha cemetery. Rumor has it that 3 months ago, a 7-colored divine light shot up to the sky from the sacred mountain. It seems like a precious treasure has been born. The conversation between the two alchemists behind Tang Ao also attracted Tang Ao's attention. Although the ice and snow plains Martial Dao development was slightly weaker than the black-yellow continent, the alchemy Dao in the ice and snow plains was really incomparable. There were less than 5 6th-grade alchemists in the black-yellow continent. However, there were more than 20 6th-grade alchemists in the ice and snow plains. Chapter 1057. From their conversation, Tang Ao learned a lot of useful information. When Xitigarbha Cemetery wasn't open to the public, there were people from various top forces exploring the mysteries of Xitigarbha Cemetery. People rarely set foot in the 9th zone of Xitigarbha Cemetery because from the 7th zone onwards, Xitigarbha Cemetery became very dangerous. However, 3 months ago, the towering mountain in the 9th zone suddenly emitted a 7-colored divine light. Anyone who entered Xitigarbha Cemetery would be able to see it. Such an abnormal thing attracted the attention of all the top forces in the ice and snow plain. Therefore, these top forces almost invited very powerful alchemists to participate in this alchemy conference in order to fight for more places to enter the Xitigarbha Cemetery. Tang Ao knew that although these two alchemists had heard some news from rumors, they might not know much about it, or they might not be willing to say it. Tang Ao felt that among the people he knew, Li Muling should know the most about Xitigarbha Cemetery. Li Muling didn't tell him this before because she thought that he already knew about it. But unfortunately, Tang Ao really didn't know anything about it. At this moment, Old Medicine King's flying car also descended from the clouds. Only then did everyone see clearly that other than Chu Xuehan, there was also a group of young men and women with extraordinary temperaments following behind him. Tang Ao did not know the identity of these people, but the surrounding alchemists exclaimed out loud, "These young men are the Old Medicine King's 9 disciples. I heard that these 9 people's alchemy talent is extremely monstrous. 3 of them are even 6th-grade alchemists. Old Medicine King has 9 true disciples who rarely show themselves. I didn't expect Old Medicine King to bring them all out this time." Tang Ao's gaze quickly found Xiuling in the crowd. She was the disciple of the Old Medicine King. Back then, when Tang Ao used the Space Jade Talisman, he mistakenly entered the Herb Mountain in the Medicine Refining Valley. Xiuling was a good person and gave Tang Ao a map of the Winter Plain, which helped Tang Ao a lot. When Tang Ao first met Xiuling, Qing Shao was still by his side. But now, Tang Ao hadn't heard from Qing Shao for a long time. When Tang Ao looked at the Old Medicine King's group, Chu Xuehan also saw Tang Ao. After seeing Tang Ao, Chu Xuehan's beautiful eyes were stunned for a moment, and then a little happy. Under the puzzled gazes of the crowd, Chu Xuehan slowly walked towards Tang Ao. After walking in front of Tang Ao, Chu Xuehan asked, "Why did you walk so fast yesterday? How is the girl from the demon clan?" "Yesterday, I offended someone at the Yunlu auction, so I had to slip away. As for Shueli, I already let her go. I don't know where she is now." Although he was under the murderous gazes of the crowd, Tang Ao still calmly shrugged his shoulders. Chu Xuehan was very beautiful, but Tang Ao wasn't the kind of person who couldn't move when he saw a beautiful woman. Moreover, among the beautiful women that Tang Ao had seen, Luo Tsai, Anruosu, and Qing Shao weren't inferior to Chu Xuehan. Chu Xuehan chuckled after hearing Tang Ao's words. "So you still know that you offended someone? Yesterday at the auction, you were so arrogant, as if you wanted to buy everything at the auction." Chapter 1058. Looking at the drool on the corner of the little fox's mouth, Tang Ao knew that it must want to eat the spirit beast pill again. After understanding its intentions, Tang Ao took out a grass-green pill. Sure enough, when the little fox saw the pill, It jumped onto Tang Ao's shoulder and intimately rubbed its head against Tang Ao's face, trying to please him. Tang Ao felt that it was quite interesting in his heart, so he handed the spirit beast Dan over to it, and the little guy happily stretched out its little claws to catch the thing that Tang Ao handed over. Chu Shuahan saw the little fox trying to please Tang Ao and said angrily, "Come over, you spineless little greedy cat." Chu Shuahan waved at the little fox, but the little fox who was enjoying the spirit beast pill turned a deaf ear to Chu Shuahan's call. Seeing the little fox lying lazily on Tang Ao's shoulder, Chu Shuahan felt like she was going to explode with anger. This little fox was not an ordinary little fox, but a treasure-seeking beast. It was born with a special sense towards all kinds of treasures. After obtaining this little fox, Chu Shuahan had taken good care of it for so many years. She didn't expect that this greedy cat would ignore its owner the moment it saw the spirit beast pill. However, this little fox seemed to be very intelligent. When it saw that Chu Shuahan was a little angry, it immediately jumped into Chu Shuahan's arms and scratched her body with its little claws. This made Chu Shuahan giggle, and she couldn't help but pat its little head. "If you dare to mess around again, I don't want you anymore." Chu Shuahan's words immediately scared the little fox. The playful little fox lowered its head in grievance and shrank into Chu Shuahan's arms. "The spiritual beast pills you concoct are too special. I have concocted many different kinds of spiritual beast pills for this little guy, but it just likes the spiritual beast pills you concoct," Chu Shuahan said as she took out a jade bottle from her bosom. There were 9 spiritual beast pills in the bottle. Without looking at it carefully, Tang Ao knew that although the 9 spirit beast pills were stored together, there were 9 different recipes. Is there something special about this little fox for Miss Chu to be so attentive to it? Tang Ao had heard of spirit beasts that could seek treasures, but Tang Ao didn't expect this little fox to be a treasure-seeking spirit fox. As for Tang Ao's spirit beast elixir, it was naturally unusual. The Shenong Emperor liked to raise immortal birds and spirit beasts. The spirit beast pill that Tang Ao refined was the golden formula that the Shenong Emperor had improved many times. Junior sister Shuahan, this is? While Tang Ao and Chu Shuahan were talking, a handsome youth walked over from behind the old medicine king. After the handsome young man came over, he used his soul remembrance to check Tang Ao's cultivation. After seeing that Tang Ao was only at the 4th level of the Seas of Soul's realm, a trace of disdain flashed through his eyes. "Senior brother Cui Jing, what's the matter?" Facing this young man named Cui Jing, Chu Shuahan did not have a good expression. She was not as relaxed as she was when she was chatting with Tang Ao. As for Chu Shuahan's attitude, Cui Jing did not care. "I am Cui Jing, the 3rd disciple of the Medicine King. How should I address you?" Since Chu Shuahan did not want to introduce Tang Ao, Cui Jing could only ask himself. In fact, Cui Jing did not have much interest in an ant like Tang Ao. The reason why he wanted to protect his own sect was to keep Tang Ao away from Chu Shuahan. Chapter 1059. Tang Ao's words made Chu Shuahan burst into laughter, but because Cui Jing was by her side, she quickly returned to her cold self. Although this smile was just a flash in the pan, it made Cui Jing dumbfounded. Cui Jing had been pursuing Chu Shuahan for several years, but Chu Shuahan had never been interested in him. If not for their relationship as fellow disciples, Cui Jing wouldn't even be able to talk to Chu Shuahan. "Junior sister Shuahan, you look so beautiful when you smile," Cui Jing said with a smile. However, Chu Shuahan didn't say anything. She really hated this Cui Jing. He always pestered her for no reason. "This is my communication bead. Give me yours as well." With Cui Jing pestering her, Chu Shuahan didn't have the interest to continue chatting with Tang Ao. Although Chu Shuahan really wanted to ask Tang Ao about the special features of his spirit beast elixirs, she didn't want to speak with Cui Jing by her side. "Miss Chu, see you next time." Tang Ao knew that Chu Shuahan didn't want to stay any longer, so he naturally didn't say much. However, Tang Ao clearly saw that when he took Chu Shuahan's communication pearl, a sharp killing intent flashed through Cui Jing's eyes. Cui Jing also looked at Chu Shuahan with an additional trace of hatred. Cui Jing didn't care about Tang Ao's killing intent, but Tang Ao felt that after the alchemy conference ended, he still needed to give Chu Shuahan a reminder. Tang Ao was a person who had lived 2 lives. When love turned into hate, Tang Ao still knew about it. Although Cui Jing was at Life and Death Realm Level 3, he was the weakest among all the Life and Death Realm Level 3 warriors that Tang Ao had seen. From the spiritual power in his body, Tang Ao could conclude that Cui Jing's cultivation was accumulated by countless elixirs. Tang Ao was really not afraid of such an elixir jar. In the Xitigarbha cemetery, if Cui Jing did not come looking for trouble, then he could count himself lucky. If he dared to come and provoke him, Tang Ao would definitely make him suffer the consequences. After Chu Shuahan left, Cui Jing also prepared to leave. But after a few steps, Cui Jing turned his back to Tang Ao and said, "You better not enter the Xitigarbha cemetery. It's very dangerous inside." After saying this, Cui Jing quickly left. Cui Jing's voice was not soft. Not only Tang Ao, even the few alchemists around Tang Ao heard it. These people looked at Tang Ao with eyes full of sympathy. They could not imagine how an ordinary alchemist like Tang Ao would have the courage to offend Cui Jing. Moreover, Tang Ao had offended Cui Jing. His good days were coming to an end. Tang Ao shook his head with a bitter smile. This Cui Jing really thought too highly of himself. Did he think that he was invincible just because he was at the 3rd level of the Life and Death Realm? Even if Tang Ao's cultivation had been greatly damaged, he still did not put Cui Jing in his eyes. After entering the Xitigarbha cemetery and finding the spirit ice fruit forest to restore his strength, Cui Jing might not even be able to take one attack from him. At this moment, the communication bead in Tang Ao's hand flickered twice, and a message came. "Tang Ao, you also want to enter the Xitigarbha cemetery?" This message was naturally sent by Chu Shuahan, but at this moment, Chu Shuahan was sitting beside the old medicine king. No matter how brave Cui Jing was, he did not dare to pester Chu Shuahan in front of the old medicine king. "Yes, I want to go to the Xitigarbha cemetery to find the spirit ice fruit." It was not a secret that there was a spirit ice fruit in the Xitigarbha cemetery. Moreover, many people who entered the Xitigarbha cemetery were going for the spirit ice fruit, so Tang Ao did not hide it. If you want to find the spirit ice fruit, Little White should be able to help. Do you want to go with us? The Xitigarbha cemetery is very dangerous. It will be safer if you go with us. Chapter 1060. Thank you for your kind intentions, Miss Chu. I won't be going with you. Tang Ao declined Chu Shuahan's invitation. If Tang Ao's cultivation was at its peak and Chu Shuahan was alone, Tang Ao would be willing to be her protector. However, Tang Ao's trip to the Xitigarbha cemetery was significant. Tang Ao had to find the spiritual ice fruit and recover his strength completely. Before he recovered his strength, Tang Ao didn't want any accidents to happen. "All right then, I won't talk to you anymore." After Chu Shuahan sent the message, she walked towards an alchemy furnace in the middle of the plaza with light step. As a Tier 6 alchemist, Chu Shuahan obviously wouldn't miss the alchemy conference's competition. Actually, Chu Shuahan wanted to ask Tang Ao about the spiritual beast elixir's formula. However, she realized that she wasn't that familiar with Tang Ao, so she didn't ask. All alchemists are in position. The alchemy conference is about to begin. At this moment, an old man dressed in purple alchemist robes shouted from a high platform in the middle of the plaza. Hearing the old man's words, all the alchemists went to their alchemy furnaces according to the numbers on their jade tokens. Tang Ao also went to his alchemy furnace. On the right side of the alchemy furnace was a stone platform with a groove on it. After Tang Ao pressed his jade token into the groove, an array rose up. In front of the array was a light screen with the words, "Write down the names of the participating alchemists." Tang Ao followed the instructions and wrote his name on the light screen. After Tang Ao finished writing, the light screen flashed and disappeared. After all the alchemists had written down their names, the purple-robed old man on the high platform in the middle of the plaza continued, "This alchemy conference's competition is slightly different from the previous ones. In the previous alchemy conferences, the winner was decided in one round. It was a competition of alchemy." Hearing the purple-robed old man's words, Tang Ao was a little puzzled. What else could they compete in alchemy other than alchemy? However, Tang Ao's doubts did not linger for long. The purple-robed old man continued, "In this alchemy conference, we will have a total of 3 rounds. Each round will be worth 10 points. The 100 alchemists with the highest total points will obtain a slot to enter the Xitigarbha cemetery." As the old man's voice fell, the huge square could not help but become a little noisy. The few alchemists around Tang Ao also whispered to each other. Tang Ao did not speak and quietly listened to them. In the past, the alchemy meet was to see who could refine higher-grade pills and better-quality pills. What are the 3 matches this time around? I heard some news that the old Medicine King was the one who suggested the 3 rounds. The first round is a competition to extract medicinal liquid, the second round is a competition to refine pills, as for the third round, I don't know. Tang Ao did not completely believe the discussions around him. However, at this moment, Tang Ao also could not think of what the 3 rounds of the alchemy conference would be about. "Everyone, please be quiet." On the high platform, the purple-robed old man raised his hand and gestured for everyone to be quiet. After the plaza quietened down, the purple-robed old man continued, "The path of alchemy depends on experience and talent. Therefore, in this alchemy conference, we will be competing based on talent and experience." Tang Ao's experience in the competition allowed him to understand that it was nothing more than to see who could refine a better quality pill and a higher grade. However, how would one compete based on talent? After all, talent was something that could not be seen or touched, but it truly existed. Chapter 1061. Tang Ao looked at the array screen in front of him. Right then, there were hundreds of herbs displayed on the screen. Different herbs had different descriptions. Some herbs could only get 6 points after being purified, while some herbs could get as high as 9 points after being purified to 10%. However, Tang Ao didn't think that it would be easy to extract the medicinal essence from this spirit herb, because this spirit herb was actually the extremely rare Aracema sunflower. The Aracema sunflower was one of the top rank 6 spirit herbs. Its rarity was even comparable to some of the rank 1 spirit herbs. The pellet that could be made from the Aracema sunflower was called the condensing star pellet. After an astral-reaching realm warrior took it, it could increase his cultivation by 10%. This kind of pellet was something that even Tang Ao had only heard about in his previous life. The biggest reason was that the Aracema sunflower was needed to concoct the condensing star pellet. Although the Aracema sunflower had a powerful medicinal effect, its medicinal essence was extremely hard to purify. When normal alchemists purified the Aracema sunflower, they could not even purify 10% of its medicinal essence. Some of the more powerful alchemists could only purify 10% of its medicinal essence, but not more than 30%. Only those top alchemists could purify more than 30% of its medicinal essence from the Aracema sunflower. However, in order to concoct the condensing star pellet, the purity of the Aracema sunflower had to be more than 60%. Because of this, the price of the condensing star pellet was extremely high, and there was no market for it. As the saying went, where there was demand there would be a market. Under such circumstances, Some alchemists tried to use the Aracima sunflower with less than 60% purity to concoct the condensing star pellet. Although this kind of inferior condensing star pellet did not have the same effect as the condensing star pellet, it could still increase the cultivation of an astral-reaching realm warrior by a lot. Alchemists who have not chosen their spirit herbs yet, hurry up and choose. Otherwise, it will be treated as a forfeit. There was a huge array behind the elder in purple robes, and there were some light spots on the array. Some of these light spots were bright, while some were dim. Those dim light spots were the alchemists who had not chosen their spirit herbs yet. After thinking for a while, Tang Ao decided to choose the Aracima sunflower. Extracting 10% of the Aracima sunflower was equivalent to 9 points, and extracting 30% or more was equivalent to 10 points. Although Tang Ao had never purified the Aracima sunflower before, Tang Ao was still extremely confident in his ability. After Tang Ao chose the Aracima sunflower, a small line appeared on the array screen. After Tang Ao chose the Aracima sunflower, a small line appeared on the array screen of the array. When Tang Ao saw this line of notification, he secretly cursed the alchemy conference for being so unkind. The Aracima star sunflower could be bought for 100,000 mid-grade snow beads outside, but the price here had increased by 5 times. Of it of you. Of Tang of it. Although he was slightly dissatisfied, Tang Ao still paid the 500,000 middle-grade snow beads. After Tang Ao paid the snow beads, a white light flashed on the teleportation platform and a jade box appeared in front of Tang Ao. After Tang Ao paid, a white light flashed on the platform and a jade box appeared in front of Tang Ao. The time limit for purifying spirit herbs is 1 hour. After 1 hour, the top 2,000 alchemists will stay. The rest of the alchemists will leave. Let's begin. After all the alchemists had chosen their spirit herbs, the elder in purple robes said with a clear voice. Chapter 1062. Although all the pill masters had their own methods, the most attractive ones were still the old Medicine King's disciples. These people did not use the alchemy furnace to refine the elixir, rather they used their own special flames to refine the elixir. This kind of method attracted the cheers of the people watching the pill refining conference. It was clear that they had never seen such a magical refining method before. After looking around, Tang Ao also began to refine the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower. Although the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower was hard to refine, Tang Ao found that there were more than 800 people choosing the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower. Some of these people were confident like Tang Ao, but most of them were opportunists. The other herbs needed to be 60% pure to have a decent score, but the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower only needed to be 10% pure to get 9 points. Therefore, even though most of the alchemists had never successfully refined the Heavenly South Star sunflower before, or even Tang Ao who had never refined the Heavenly South Star sunflower before, they did not hesitate to choose to refine the Heavenly South Star sunflower this time. After cleaning the alchemy furnace, Tang Ao threw the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower into the alchemy furnace and began to refine it. Although he used the alchemy furnace, Tang Ao did not use the fire inside the alchemy furnace, but rather used the netherworld flame. Tang Ao's netherworld flame had a large change compared to before. The current netherworld flame's temperature was even more terrifying and Tang Ao could use the netherworld flame more smoothly. But even the strong netherworld flame had a sense of powerlessness when facing the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower. The Heavenly Southern Star sunflower burned in the netherworld flame for a long time, but there was not much change. According to the inherited memories of the Shenong Emperor, Tang Ao knew that the key to refining the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower was to adjust the temperature of the flame according to the changes in the Heavenly Southern Star sunflower. This was easy to say, but in reality, it was not simple at all. The person who refined the elixir the fastest was the Medicine King's chief disciple, Ji Feiqian. In less than an incense stick of time, he had already refined 90% of the ink cloud snow lotus essence. When Ji Feiqian placed the refined liquid into a jade bottle on the transportation platform, a voice sounded in the ears of all the pill masters. Ji Feiqian has refined 90% purity ink cloud snow lotus, 10 points. This news caused the hearts of many of the alchemists present to tremble. Although the difficulty of refining the inky ink cloud snow lotus was not as high as the Aracema sunflower, it was still a top-grade 6th-grade spirit herb. The fact that Ji Feiqian was able to extract 90% of the inky cloud snow lotus's medicinal essence in such a short period of time was enough to show how terrifying his ability to extract medicinal essences was. Wu Yuan has extracted 10% of the Aracema sunflower's medicinal essence. After Ji Feiqian, a white-haired old man quickly extracted 10% of the Aracema sunflower's medicinal liquid essence. This old man was obviously very famous. Many people knew about him. Therefore, after the old man's name was read out, many people in the audience began to whisper to each other. Master Wu Yuan truly lives up to his name. He truly lives up to his reputation. Grandmaster Wu Yuan was already a top-notch 6th-grade alchemist more than 10 years ago, so refining the Aracema sunflower is naturally not a problem for him. Last time, when the Dark Moon Market's owner asked for a pill, I heard that great Master Wu Yuan had refined the Aracema sunflower to 50% purity and gave it to the Dark Moon Market's owner to concoct a pill. Chapter 1063. Although the progress was slow, after half an hour, Tang Ao had already refined the Aracema sunflower to 55%. However, after refining it to 55%, the Aracema sunflower's medicinal liquid became somewhat unstable. Tang Ao's control of the flame gradually became strenuous. In the beginning, because Tang Ao's control of the flame was not fast enough, the Aracema sunflower was almost burned to ashes. At this time, there were not many alchemists like Tang Ao who were still refining the spirit herbs. Most of the alchemists had already refined the spirit herbs, or they had already failed to refine the spirit herbs and left the scene dejectedly. Before the alchemy conference, Cui Jing, who had a grudge with Tang Ao, had already refined the spiritual herbs and was watching from the side. Seeing that Tang Ao was still using the alchemy furnace to refine the spiritual herbs, Cui Jing's eyes flashed with a trace of disdain. A truly powerful alchemist did not need the help of an alchemy furnace and could condense a pill fire out of thin air to refine medicine. Just now, Cui Jing had also used an alchemy furnace to refine medicinal herbs, and this time, Cui Jing's extraordinary performance actually received a 10 out of 10 evaluation. I'm afraid that this person will have a problem getting 6 points. Cui Jing looked in Tang Ao's direction, his mouth full of disdain. It was obvious that Cui Jing was not the only one who had thoughts about Chu Xuehan. Just now, Chu Xuehan and Tang Ao's actions naturally attracted the jealousy of several others. With this little ability, he still dares to pester junior sister Chu. I think this person is a toad lusting for swan meat. TCH, is this kind of small character worth our attention? This time, our biggest opponents should be those fellows from Black Crow Market. Qiuling was the only female disciple among the Pill King's 9 true disciples, and she had met Tang Ao once before. At this moment, Qiuling saw that Tang Ao was still calmly refining the spiritual herbs with the alchemy furnace and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Since Tang Ao was here, even if it was difficult for Tang Ao to obtain a ranking, Qiuling did not want Tang Ao to be eliminated in the first round of the competition. Puff! The alchemist to the left of Tang Ao immediately turned as pale as paper. The spirit medicine he refined was the same as Tang Ao, the heavenly South Star sunflower. It was just that after refining for so long, the Aracema sunflower's medicinal liquid essence had yet to be extracted. Just now, in a moment of impatience, his state of mind had become chaotic, causing the flames in the alchemy furnace to go out of control, burning the Aracema sunflower inside the alchemy furnace to ashes. The failure of this alchemist formed a chain reaction at this moment. Several alchemists who were refining the Heavenly South Star sunflower were distracted, causing the Heavenly South Star sunflower in the alchemy furnace to burn. Although the surrounding alchemists failed one after another, Tang Ao's face was still calm. The things happening around him could not cause Tang Ao's state of mind to fluctuate. However, Tang Ao still frowned because he knew that Tang Ao's refined Aracema sunflower was still stuck at the bottleneck of 55%. No matter how hard Tang Ao tried, he could not break through this shackle. Moreover, what puzzled Tang Ao the most was that he faintly felt that the Heavenly South Star sunflower's medicinal liquid seemed to be missing something. Because of this missing thing, the Heavenly South Star sunflower's medicinal liquid could not continue to increase its purity. An hour's time quickly passed, and now in the alchemy square, only Tang Ao and a few others were still refining the medicinal liquid. Although the refined spiritual herbs were different, the expressions on the faces of these people were surprisingly similar. All of them had a dignified expression, as if they were facing a great enemy. The 55% purity was like a nightmare curse. Tang Ao had already fine-tuned the flame many times, but still could not break through this limit. Chapter 1064. While Tang Ao was puzzled, the purple-robed elder on the stage shouted, "There are only 100 breaths of time left. Those who have yet to finish, hurry up or give up." At this moment, Chu Xuehan had already sat beside the old medicine king, but her eyes were constantly looking at Tang Ao's seat. Chu Xuehan was very puzzled. From Tang Ao's spirit beast pills, Chu Xuehan knew that Tang Ao's alchemy Tao was not weak. However, Chu Xuehan could not understand. Since Tang Ao was an expert in alchemy Tao, why did he have to spend so much effort in the first round? Even if Tang Ao wanted to show weakness, there was no need to go to this extent. Now there were only 3 alchemists left in the square refining the elixirs. One of them was special. It was not Tang Ao but Yao Chen. That's right, Yao Chen was still refining. However, no one thought that Yao Chen would fail. Yao Chen's alchemy Tao was stronger than the old medicine king's head disciple, Ji Feiqian. Besides Yao Chen, there was also Tang Ao, who was still struggling with the Aracema sunflower. The last person was a girl in a green dress. Even though the refinement was not complete, the girl had a confident smile on her face. It was obvious that she would not fail no matter what. All right, let's call it a day. Just as everyone's eyes were on the 3, the petite girl in a light green dress clapped her hands. Immediately, a crystal-clear liquid was rolled out of the cauldron by the girl. After storing it in a jade bottle, the girl placed the crystal-clear liquid into the transportation array. Pill Master Jin Yuan has refined 55% Aracema sunflower liquid, 10%. The appraisal array emitted a voice that shocked the surrounding pill masters. 55%? Did I hear wrongly? This girl actually refined the Aracema sunflower liquid to 55%. It's fake, right? How is this possible? Are the juniors these days so terrifying? Tang Ao turned his head and saw Jin Yuan mischievously making a face at him. Tang Ao felt that this child was really cute, and his alchemy skills were also very impressive. Although it took a lot longer than him, he still managed to refine the Aracema sunflower to 55% purity. This result was enough for her to be proud of at her age. Sigh. Tang Ao helplessly sighed and prepared to stop refining the Aracema sunflower in the furnace. But at this moment, Tang Ao suddenly had a thought. After hesitating for a moment, Tang Ao circulated his jade bone life soul and extracted a wisp of vitality to inject into the Erisima sunflower's medicinal liquid essence. The moment he injected his life force into the Erisima sunflower, Tang Ao's spirit was shaken. 60% medicinal liquid, completed. Tang Ao was extremely excited. He extracted the essence of the Erisima sunflower into a jade bottle and placed it into the appraisal array. Chapter 1065. After Tang Ao's refinement was successful, Yao Chen placed the medicinal liquid into the appraisal spiritual array. The sound of the appraisal spiritual array once again made the crowd of pill refiners blush with shame. Pill refiner Yao Chen has refined Erisima sunflower to 65% purity. 10 points, top grade. Even though Tang Ao already knew that Yao Chen was an extraordinary person, he was still shocked to hear that Yao Chen had refined Erisima sunflower to 65% purity. Even though Tang Ao had discovered the secret to refining Erisima sunflower at the last moment, it was still a coincidence. But because the matter just now was too coincidental, Tang Ao wasn't sure whether the Erisima sunflower lacked vitality or not. After Yao Chen completed the refinement, a ranking board was erected in the center of the Alchemy Plaza. The first person on the list was Yao Chen, while the second was Tang Ao. After Tang Ao was the Medicine King's disciple, Ji Feiqian. This ranking board shocked everyone who came to watch the alchemy conference, as well as the pill refiners. Even though this was only the first round of the competition, the ranking board would change as the next 2 rounds progressed. However, the dark horse Tang Ao still surprised many people. Many people were even trying to find out about Tang Ao's background. After all, the slots to enter the Xidagarba cemetery would eventually be allocated to the pill refiners, who would then distribute them. If Tang Ao didn't have any background, then the slots that Tang Ao had would have a lot to do with them. Li Muling brought Chu Yuqing and the rest to sit on a thick branch of a huge tree that stretched out horizontally. After seeing that Tang Ao had obtained second place, Li Muling snatched Chu Yuqing's wine gourd and took a big gulp, causing Chu Yuqing's heart to ache. For this trip to the Xidagarba cemetery, they had specially prepared a pot of good wine. Chu Yuqing himself drank in small sips, but now that Li Muling snatched a mouthful from him, it was no longer half a pot. After drinking Chu Yuqing's wine, Li Muling's cheeks turned red. However, he still patted Chu Yuqing on the shoulder in a very forthright manner and said, "This Tang Ao you found is really not bad. In terms of alchemy, he can practically compete with that monster Yao Chen. Not bad, not bad." Chu Yuqing laughed bitterly in his heart. What does Tang Ao alchemy's prowess have to do with her drinking my wine? However, Chu Yuqing did not have the guts to ask such a question. Tang Ao isn't a master smithing, so how could he be so good at alchemy? Xiao Yuding, who was standing beside Chu Yuqing, asked in confusion. Moreover, Xiao Yuding also knew that Tang Ao's strength wasn't weak at all. Not long ago, Tang Ao had fought with Lu Hen. It seemed that Tang Ao was a guy who concealed his strength. Thinking up to here, Xiao Yuding's beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of splendor. Chapter 1066. Tang Ao originally thought that no one would disturb him in the refining plaza, but Tang Ao quickly realized that he was wrong. Tang Ao calmly sat cross-legged on his seat and meditated. Suddenly, a chubby middle-aged man arrived in front of Tang Ao along with a servant. Although Tang Ao's eyes were slightly closed, he still knew that there was someone in front of him. "What's the matter?" Tang Ao didn't open his eyes and asked in a calm tone. This person was directly looking for him in the middle of the refining plaza. Clearly, something had happened. However, Tang Ao was only interested in Xidagarba cemetery right now and didn't want to be disturbed by other matters. The middle-aged man cupped his fists towards Tang Ao and said, Alchemist Tang Ao, this humble one is Jin Dajiang, the shopkeeper of treasure-gathering towers Jin Yinwang. I wonder which faction Alchemist Tang Ao is representing in this alchemy conference? Although Jin Dajiang's tone was polite, after using his soul remembrance to detect that Tang Ao's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the spirit ocean realm, a trace of obvious disdain flashed through Jin Dajiang's eyes. When Jin Dajiang used his soul remembrance to detect him, Tang Ao slightly creased his brows. What does it have to do with you? Alchemist Tang Ao must be joking. Of course it does. If Alchemist Tang Ao can obtain an extra spot, I can help Alchemist Tang Ao sell it for a high price. Alchemist Tang Ao almost won the first round, which is enough to show his extraordinary attainments in alchemy. Although Jin Dajiang looked down on Tang Ao as a businessman, he still had a smile on his face when he spoke. Originally, Tang Ao didn't have a good impression of Jin Dajiang, but after hearing Jin Dajiang's words, Tang Ao's heart moved and he immediately took out a spirit stone. Shopkeeper Jin, does the ice snow plains have this? Spirit stones were the common currency in the black-yellow continent, but in the snow plain, Tang Ao had never seen anyone use spirit stones. Everyone used snow beads. This is called the spirit stone. It's said that it's a common item in the black-yellow continent and the 5 elements demonic territory. It's very rare in the snow plain, but its quality is much better than the one in Alchemy Master Tang's hand, Jin Dajiang said as he took out a spirit stone from his storage ring and handed it to Tang Ao. When Tang Ao saw the spirit stone in Jin Dajiang's hand, he was shocked. It wasn't that the spirit stone in Jin Dajiang's hand was better, but the grade was too high. Tang Ao had only taken out a middle-grade spirit stone, but the one in Jin Dajiang's hand was a top-grade spirit stone. Every piece of best-grade spirit stone was a rare treasure that could not be measured in terms of quantity. Shopkeeper Jin, are all the spirit stones in the winter plain of this quality? Tang Ao asked calmly. I can only say so. Apart from the one in Alchemy Master Tang's hand, all the other spirit stones I've seen are of this quality. Shopkeeper Jin then added, although this spirit stone contains pure spiritual energy, it can't be used. What a pity. Tang Ao naturally understood what Shopkeeper Jin meant. If it was an ordinary low-grade, middle-grade, or even high-grade spirit stone, it would be easy to extract the spiritual energy from it. However, the best-grade spirit stone was different. The best-grade spirit stone was integrated into one. In order to absorb the pure spiritual energy from the best-grade spirit stone, one would need an extremely high-grade cultivation technique. During his time in the snow plain, Tang Ao had also discovered something special. The cultivation technique of the snow plain was more inclined to absorb the pure spiritual energy from the snow beads, but it was difficult to absorb the spiritual energy from the spirit stone. Compared to the spirit stone, the snow beads were more suitable for the warriors of the snow plain. However, the nomological Tao runes and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth contained in them were much weaker than the spirit stone. Chapter 1067. Although there were many alchemy experts in this year's alchemy conference, Tang Ao was confident that it would not be a problem for him to enter the top 10. Tang Ao had no use for the extra quota. After entering the Xitigarbha cemetery to restore his strength, Tang Ao would also need a large amount of cultivation resources to improve his cultivation. Since Shopkeeper Jin had the means to obtain spirit stones, Tang Ao was naturally willing to trade with him. How about 3 spirit stones for 1 quota? Shopkeeper Jin stroked his beard and said calmly. 10 spirit stones. 10 spirit stones for 1 quota. Otherwise, no deal. According to Tang Ao's understanding, spirit stones should be useless in the snow plains because the cultivators here had no way to use spirit stones. However, there would not be many top-grade spirit stones, so Tang Ao offered a price of 10 spirit stones for 1 quota. Deal. Shopkeeper Jean smiled slyly and agreed to Tang Ao's terms without hesitation. Tang Ao's thoughts were correct. The cultivators of the snow plains indeed had no way to use spirit stones. Moreover, there were not many top-grade spirit stones. However, although there were not many, it was not as little as Tang Ao had imagined. This was especially true for Treasure Trove Pavilion, which was the #1 merchant house in the Snow Plains. Treasure Trove Pavilion could sell a quota to enter the Xidagarba Cemetery for a sky-high price, but one spirit stone was not of much use to Treasure Trove Pavilion. Seeing shopkeeper Jean agree so easily, Tang Ao knew that he had suffered a loss. However, this loss was relative. The quota to enter the Xidagarba Cemetery was not of much use to him, but the top-grade spirit stone was something that Tang Ao desperately needed. Moreover, even in the entire Black-Yellow continent, the production of top-grade spirit stones was not much. Alchemist Tang, since we've reached an agreement, I'd like to ask you a question. How many slots do you think you can get for this alchemy conference? To Jean Dajiang, top-grade spirit stones were tasteless, but it was a pity to throw them away. However, the quota to enter the Xidagarba Cemetery was a hot commodity, so Jean Dajiang was very concerned about how many quotas he could get from Tang Ao. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao said, "At least 30. Tang Ao did not make any promises. Moreover, since the quota could be sold, Tang Ao also wanted to compare the goods and see how he could get the most benefit. 30. Jean Dajiang was startled. Although Tang Ao's performance in the first round was pretty good, Jean Dajiang knew that the first round was just a small test. The next 2 rounds were where the true skills would be tested. Tang Ao was so young and his cultivation was not very high. Therefore, Jean Dajiang felt that it should not be difficult for Tang Ao to get a good ranking. However, it would not be easy for him to get a good ranking. In order to get 30 spots, one had to be in the top 70 out of the 5,000 alchemists. There was no lack of famous alchemy experts among the alchemists participating in this alchemy conference. Jean Dajiang really did not understand where Tang Ao got his confidence from. Although he was doubtful, Jean Dajiang still smiled and said, "In that case, this Jean will congratulate alchemist Tang Ao in advance for his first victory. In addition, for every 10 quotas that alchemist Tang Ao exchanges with us, this Jean will give alchemist Tang Ao 10 more spirit stones. I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation." After Jean Dajiang finished speaking, he brought his follower and walked in the direction of another alchemist. Although that alchemist's performance in the first round was not as dazzling as Tang Ao's, his speed of refining spirit medicine was only behind Master Wu Yuan's. It was obvious that he was not an ordinary alchemist. Chapter 1068. Expert, this is an expert. This was Tang Ao's first thought after discovering this woman. This person was clearly standing in front of him, but Tang Ao's soul remembrance couldn't find her. Under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, this woman didn't exist. Of course, this wasn't because this woman didn't exist, but because she had some method that soul remembrance couldn't detect. Tang Ao immediately activated Gaze of the Sky polarity pupils, but the sky polarity pupils that had never failed him in the past only saw a flock of crows scattering in all directions. However, when Tang Ao retracted his heavenly polar pupils, the charming woman was still looking at Tang Ao with a smile that wasn't a smile. Although this woman was very dangerous, Tang Ao didn't feel any ill intent from her. Therefore, Tang Ao cupped his fists at the charming woman and said, "Does Senior have any instructions for this junior?" Although the woman in front of him was mysterious, Tang Ao could still feel that her cultivation was at the 7th level of the life and death realm, the same level as the Dark Moon Workshop owner. How would I dare to give orders to Pill Master Tang Ao? Didn't I just say that I just want to cooperate with Pill Master Tang Ao? The charming woman sat down next to Tang Ao and breathed into Tang Ao's ear. Senior also wants a spot to enter the Xidigarba cemetery? Tang Ao asked uncertainly. What senior? You see, I'm not that much older than you. You might as well call me big sister. Luo Yu swung her snow-white long legs as she lazily stretched. Her posture was extremely alluring. When the surrounding young alchemists saw this, they couldn't help but swallow. Luo Yu workshop owner has personally come. My master invites Luo Yu workshop owner over for a chat. At this moment, Qiu Ling arrived next to Luo Yu and Tang Ao and spoke respectfully to Luo Yu. Tang Ao didn't know Luo Yu's identity. Hearing Qiu Ling call Luo Yu workshop owner, Tang Ao couldn't help but feel strange. Tang Ao had been to the Black Crow Market before, so he knew that the current market owner of the Black Crow Market was the Dark Moon Market owner, and the previous market owner was the market owner Jinmi. In that case, what was the situation with this Falling Moon Square owner? Who's interested in seeing that old man? Go and tell him that I'm not going. In the face of the old Medicine King's invitation, the Falling Moon workshop mistress did not give him any face at all. She rejected it without even thinking about it. However, Tang Ao knew that this Falling Moon shop owner indeed had the ability to reject Old Medicine King. Old Medicine King was already quite old, and his cultivation base was only at early life and death realm's 7th layer. However, Luo Yu was at the peak of the life and death realm. Hearing Luo Yu's reply, Qiu Ling did not get angry. She glanced at Tang Ao as if she wanted to say something to Tang Ao. However, she didn't say it in the end. She only cupped her fists at Luo Yu and said, Qiu Ling will pass on the Falling Moon Workshop Mistress's words to my master. Also, if the Falling Moon Workshop Mistress needs anything, feel free to let me know. After Qiu Ling finished speaking, she smiled faintly at Tang Ao and left, heading for the Medicine King's high platform. After Qiu Ling left, the Falling Moon Workshop Mistress said playfully, This girl seems to be interested in you. Do you want me to talk to Old Medicine King and help you propose a marriage? Tang Ao looked at Luo Yu and smiled bitterly. Although it was just a casual glance, Luo Yu's enchanting figure still caused Tang Ao's mind to waver. Even his jade bone life spirit unconsciously circulated. Only then did Tang Ao regain his consciousness. Tang Ao was secretly shocked. Even in his previous life, Tang Ao had never met such a mysterious cultivator. Chapter 1069. Bah! Those brats dare to call themselves talented? I won't beat around the bush with you. Big Sister has 2 things to discuss with you. First, Big Sister wants 90% of the spots you get in the alchemy competition, and the exchange conditions are twice that of Fatty Jean. Second, I want you to help me refine 3 star-gathering pills. They are the real star-gathering pills, not the kind of shoddy goods. Is there a problem? Luoyue blinked at Tang Ao as if she wanted to hook Tang Ao's soul. Hearing Luoyue's words, Tang Ao suddenly realized that the problem was with the Aracima sunflower. He was too focused on refining the Aracima sunflower just now, so he didn't notice that someone was spying on him refining the medicinal liquid. Tang Ao was right. Luoyue did accidentally discover that Tang Ao was refining the Aracima sunflower's medicinal liquid, and then she became interested in Tang Ao. Although Yao Chen extracted 65% of the medicinal liquid essence, Luoyue knew that the medicinal liquid essence refined by Yao Chen couldn't be used for alchemy at all because Yao Chen used extraordinary means. Although Tang Ao also used some means that she couldn't understand, Luoyue was sure that the medicinal liquid essence refined by Tang Ao could be used for alchemy. If not for the fact that Yao Chen was also a member of his team, Tang Ao would have definitely sold him out. But now, since Luoyue was looking for him, Tang Ao could only admit defeat. Luoyue. Sister Luoyue. Tang Ao originally wanted to call Luoyue Senior, but after seeing Luoyue's pretty face suddenly turn cold, Tang Ao quickly changed his address. Sister Luoyue, There's no problem with the spots to enter the Xidigarba cemetery. Even if you give them all to Sister Luoyue. That won't do. Before Tang Ao finished speaking, Luoyue interrupted him. You promised Fatty Jean, how can you go back on your word? Don't worry, Big Sister won't fight with Fatty Jean for the 30 spots. Is there any other problem? Luoyue's tone was gentle, but Tang Ao felt a chill down his spine. I'm afraid it will take some time to refine the star-gathering pill. My current success rate for extracting 60% of the Aracima sunflower's medicinal liquid is quite low. Besides, this is the first time I've extracted 60% of the Aracima sunflower's medicinal liquid. I can't refine the star-gathering pill yet. Although Tang Ao had not refined a celestial gatherer pill yet, Tang Ao knew that as long as he wanted to, he could definitely refine a celestial gatherer pill. Even if Tang Ao did it, Tang Ao Tang, Luoyue, he didn't dare to refine it for Luoyue. The celestial gathering pill was just too precious. Even if one looked at the entire snowy plains, no one could refine it. Luoyue tanked Luoyue. Once, Tang the Tang Tang. T the Tang the star the Yang the clan can the gather the gathering for them. The first was to kill Luoyue after obtaining the star for the gathering. The second was to be imprisoned in the life and death tower by the Black Crow Market, forced to refine pills for the Black Crow Market for the rest of his life. Neither of these two outcomes was what Tang Ao wanted. As long as Tang Ao could find the spirit ice fruit in the Xidigarba cemetery, he could restore his strength. After restoring his strength, Tang Ao could quickly improve his cultivation with the help of a large number of top-grade spirit stones. Even if he couldn't advance by leaps and bounds in a short time, as long as Tang Ao restored his life and death cultivation, Tang Ao would have the power to protect himself. At that time, whether he helped Luoyue refine pills or not, the initiative would be in Tang Ao's hands. He wouldn't be as passive as he was now. Chapter 1070. Although 3 months was not a long time, it was enough for Tang Ao. All right, when I come out of Xidigarba Cemetery in 3 months, I will definitely go to Black Crow Market to refine pills for Sister Luoyue. If he agreed to Luoyue's request now, Tang Ao would not lose anything. If he did not agree now, he did not know what would happen to Tang Ao. After receiving Tang Ao's promise, Luoyue smiled sweetly and disappeared from Tang Ao's sight. Because Tang Ao had been paying attention to Luoyue this time, Tang Ao felt a subtle spatial fluctuation. After sensing this subtle spatial fluctuation, Tang Ao immediately understood why Luoyue could come and go without a trace. Not only was Luoyue powerful, but she was also a powerful warrior who was proficient in spatial power and illusions. After Luoyue left, no one came to find Tang Ao. It was not that they did not want to come, but not everyone could enter the Alchemy Plaza during the Alchemy Conference. Whether it was Jin Dajiang from Jin Yinwang or the Luoyue house owner, they were all extraordinary people in the snow plains. Therefore, they could enter and leave the Alchemy Plaza freely. However, even if the others wanted to find Tang Ao, they could only wait for Tang Ao to leave or for the Alchemy Conference to end. 2 hours passed quickly and the alchemists who had just left returned to their alchemy furnaces one after another. There had been a total of more than 5,000 alchemists participating in this alchemy conference. However, only 2,000 alchemists were left. After this round of competition, more alchemists would leave. Next up is the second round of the alchemy conference. The second round is to identify medicinal herbs. The time limit is 2 hours. Within 2 hours, you will get 1 point for every 10 medicinal herbs identified. The full score is 10 points. The top 300 alchemists with the highest scores will stay for the last round. The rest of the alchemists will leave. The competition begins now, the purple-robed old man said from the high platform in the center of the Alchemy Plaza. After the purple-robed old man finished speaking, Tang Ao saw that on the array screen in front of him, Many lifelike medicinal herbs had appeared. Tang Ao didn't expect the second round to be so simple. It was just to identify medicinal herbs. This is a purple Ganoderma. When Tang Ao saw a purple Ganoderma, he immediately wanted to write down the name of this Ganoderma. However, as soon as Tang Ao raised his hand, he realized that it wasn't much. The purple Ganoderma looked the same as an ordinary Ganoderma, except that it was light purple in color. However, there were a few more whorls on this Lingji. Clearly, it wasn't a Tier 6 purple Lingji, but a Tier 2 purple mist Lingji. Tang Ao became much more cautious after realizing that he had almost fallen for the trap at the beginning. Just as Tang Ao was about to write down the purple mist Lingji mushroom, the purple-robed elder on the high platform in the center of the alchemy plaza shouted again, "I missed a point just now." The alchemist who has accumulated a total of 10 wrong spiritual herbs will leave the plaza. After hearing the old man's words, Tang Ao cursed in his heart. Tang Ao had been delayed because of the purple mist Lingji mushroom. Thus, Tang Ao hadn't started to write down the names of the spiritual herbs. However, some alchemists who pursued speed had already identified more than 30 spiritual herbs. Indeed, as soon as the old man finished speaking, the array screen of the fastest alchemists turned into a blinding red light. The array screen also displayed the number of spiritual herbs that they had identified incorrectly. "I can't accept this, I can't accept this. I only identified a total of 10 spiritual herbs. How can I get all 10 of them wrong? I can ignore the other spiritual herbs, but I definitely won't be wrong about that purple mist Lingji." A white-robed youth shouted madly at the purple-robed elder on the high platform in the center of the alchemy plaza. Chapter 1071. Hearing Song Yu mention the purple Ganoderma, Tang Ao knew that Song Yu would not have a good time. After all, Tang Ao had almost mistaken the purple Ganoderma for the purple Ganoderma. Tang Ao guessed that the purple Ganoderma that Song Yu was talking about was most likely the purple Ganoderma as well. This time, more than 300 alchemists had left. Although they had left, almost all of them had the same question as Song Yu. It was just that these alchemists were too experienced and did not say it out loud. Ever since Song Yu had broken through to the 4th level a month ago, he had become too arrogant. Thus, he spoke his mind without reservation. "Are you suspecting that my medicine refining Valley's array is faulty?" After Song Yu's questioning, the elder in purple robes appeared beside Song Yu in a flash and spoke in a cold tone. "Senior Zihechuan, I have no intention of offending the medicine refining Valley. It is just that I have identified 10 medicinal ingredients in total. It is impossible for all 10 of them to be wrong. I dare not speak for the others, but I will definitely not mistake the purple Ganoderma." Although Song Yu was a little afraid of Zihechuan, he still braced himself and said it. "Humph!" Zihechuan coldly snorted. With a wave of his sleeve, a stalk of purple Lingji mushroom once again appeared on Song Yu's screen. Following which, Zihechuan coldly asked, "Is this the purple Lingji mushroom you saw earlier?" "Not bad, not bad. This is the purple Ganoderma that I recognized just now." Song Yu was overjoyed when he saw the purple Ganoderma. He did not notice Zihechuan's expression at all. After hearing Song Yu's confirmation, Zihechuan did not linger. He returned to the stage in a flash. Right at this moment, a bolt of lightning exploded out of thin air, and a purple-colored bolt of lightning that was as thick as a bowl smashed down towards Song Yu's head. Song Yu didn't even have the time to react before he was turned into powder. "My son." Song Yu was the young master of the Green Rainbow tribe. After he was killed by the lightning, the tribe leader immediately slammed the table and stood up. But when he saw the handsome young man beside the elder in purple robes, he endured the pain and sat back down. The lightning just now was the work of this young man. This young man was the young master of the Lightning Temple, Lei Lingyun. Tang Ao had been looking over here. When he saw Lei Lingyun make a move, Tang Ao's eyes narrowed. This Lei Lingyun was the strongest person Tang Ao had seen since he came to the Winter Plains. Although Lei Lingyun had purposely hidden his cultivation, Tang Ao could still sense that he was at the early stage of life and death realm. However, Lei Lingyun should not have broken through to the 9th level of life and death realm in such a short period of time. Therefore, he should not have been able to control it as he wished. Otherwise, Tang Ao would not have been able to tell who the attacker was, not to mention determine Lei Lingyun's cultivation base. Although there were many people on the high platform in the middle of the Alchemy Plaza, there were only 3 people sitting there. One was the old Medicine King, one was the purple-robed elder, and the last one was this Lei Lingyun. When Tang Ao looked at Lei Lingyun also seemed to sense that someone was looking at him. Immediately, Lei Lingyun's gaze swept over in Tang Ao's direction. His gaze was as sharp as a sword. All the alchemists who saw his gaze hurriedly lowered their heads, not daring to meet his eyes. Only Tang Ao looked relaxed, as if he did not notice the cold gaze. Chapter 1072. After witnessing the trap of the purple mist Lingji, Tang Ao was very cautious when identifying the next spiritual herbs. Because many of the spiritual herbs looked too similar, Tang Ao was worried that he would fall into the pit like Song Yu if he was not careful. The array screen in front of Tang Ao slowly showed the herbs. Tang Ao knew most of these herbs, but there were some unique spiritual herbs of the ice and snow plane that Tang Ao did not know. Fortunately, the second round was a test of who could identify the most spiritual herbs within 2 hours. It wasn't a requirement to identify all the spiritual herbs. Therefore, Tang Ao directly skipped over the spiritual herbs that he didn't know. Because the rolling speed of the spiritual herbs on the array screen was balanced, after skipping a spiritual herb, it would take a longer time. Fortunately, there were only a few spiritual herbs that Tang Ao did not know, so this time was not important. As time went by, there were constantly alchemists leaving. These alchemists who left were naturally those who had a total of 10 spiritual herbs wrong. With Song Yu's bloody lesson just now, these alchemists who left later did not dare to say a word of nonsense. It was just that they finally made it to the second round, and many of them were very unwilling to be eliminated like this. There were also some alchemists who stopped after identifying some spiritual herbs. The most one person could identify more than 50 kinds of spiritual herbs. The least one person could only identify 37 spiritual herbs. If one stopped for more than 30 breaths, the array screen would show the score, and at the same time, one could not continue to identify the spiritual herbs. Tang Ao had identified a total of 61 spiritual herbs. If Tang Ao stopped now, he would only get 1 point. However, Tang Ao had not given up yet. Although there were some spiritual herbs that Tang Ao had never seen before, Tang Ao could still recognize most of them after careful identification. Hey! When he saw a 7-colored double-leaved flower, Tang Ao was stunned for a moment. The shape of this spiritual herb was too special, so Tang Ao had a deep impression of it. Tang Ao had never seen this kind of spirit medicine before. The reason why he had an impression of this spirit medicine at this moment was because this spirit medicine had just appeared on the array formation screen not long ago. Could it be that I've already seen all the spirit herbs I'm supposed to identify this time, and now I'm going to change them again? While Tang Ao was pondering this question, another spirit herb appeared in front of Tang Ao. This was a snow-white fruit surrounded by purple patterns. Tang Ao recognized this fruit. It was called the purple snake fruit. Seeing this purple snake fruit, Tang Ao heaved a sigh of relief. Tang Ao was really worried that he would only be able to identify more than 60 medicinal herbs after looking at them once. However, Tang Ao was obviously overthinking because this purple snake fruit had never appeared before. After careful identification, Tang Ao wrote down the words purple snake fruit. Tang Ao felt that it was unreasonable to identify spiritual herbs based on observation alone. This was because there were some extremely special medicinal herbs that looked exactly the same, but the smell was like heaven and earth. In this case, it was more reasonable to identify them by smell. However, the array screen only showed some images of the spiritual herbs, and did not have any smell at all. In the second round, the top 300 out of the 2,000 would advance. Under such intense competition, one would need to identify at least 80 kinds of spiritual herbs in order to advance to the next round. However, even if one could identify 80 kinds of spiritual herbs, it would only be possible to advance to the next round. If one did not want to encounter any accidents, it would be better to identify at least 100 kinds of spiritual herbs. Chapter 1073. Living soil was a rare treasure in the world, but the ice flower in front of him was raised with living soil. Tang Ao found it hard to imagine what this ice flower was. When Tang Ao was examining the ice flower, Tang Ao felt a vague soul remembrance envelop his body. Tang Ao's eyes turned and discovered that there wasn't just one person watching him. Tang Ao carefully sensed that there were a total of 5 soul remembrances around him. Of the 5 soul remembrances, Tang Ao first discovered Lei Lingyun's soul remembrance. Just now, when Lei Lingyun attacked and killed Song Yu, Tang Ao had noticed Lei Lingyun. Therefore, Tang Ao was the first to recognize Lei Lingyun's soul power. After recognizing Lei Lingyun's soul remembrance, Tang Ao gradually recognized the remaining 4 soul remembrances. They were the Old Medicine King and the purple-robed elder on the high platform in the center of the pill refining plaza, as well as the falling Moon Tower Master who had traded with Tang Ao not long ago and Yin Yu who he had seen at the Cloudfoot auction. Among them, Lei Lingyun's cultivation was the highest. However, because he had just broken through and his cultivation wasn't stable, Tang Ao was the first to discover him. Lei Lingyun wasn't interested in Tang Ao, but he had accidentally discovered that these old fellows were using soul remembrance to investigate Tang Ao. Out of curiosity, he swept his soul remembrance over. After observing for a while, and not finding anything special, Lei Lingyun retracted his soul remembrance. The Old Medicine King saw that Tang Ao didn't react for a while, and couldn't help but shake his head in disappointment. Up until now, Tang Ao, Yao Chun, Wu Yuan, and Ji Feiqian hadn't recognized the wrong ingredient. Therefore, the 4 people's array screens all showed this ice flower, but without a doubt, none of them recognized the ice flower. Originally, Tang Ao was prepared to give up on this ice flower and check the next ingredient. However, remembering that this ice flower was grown with living soil, Tang Ao felt that no one knew what this ice flower was. Thinking of this, Tang Ao confidently wrote on the array formation screen, "Ice flower." Indeed, after Tang Ao finished writing the frost flower, the 5 soul remembrances instantly enveloped Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao understood in his heart that the alchemy conference this time really wasn't that simple. Whether it was the first round of refining medicinal liquid or the second round of identifying medicinal herbs, there seemed to be some hidden purpose. After Tang Ao wrote down the frost flower, the array formation screen did not show any new herbs. Instead, a sentence appeared, asking Tang Ao to briefly describe the frost flower. Tang Ao was delighted. Although he did not understand why these people wanted to inquire about the frost flower, Tang Ao was sure that none of them knew what the frost flower was. Tang Ao was about to write a bunch of nonsense, but a contemplative and solemn expression appeared on his face. At the beginning, the 5 people didn't think that Tang Ao would recognize this spirit herb. However, after seeing Tang Ao's contemplative expression, the 5 of them simultaneously rejoiced in their hearts. There was hope. Indeed, under their expectant gazes, Tang Ao slowly wrote. Frost flower, no rank heaven and earth treasure. Its effects are unknown, and it is extremely rare. It requires extremely high-level heaven and earth treasures as nutrients in order to be cultivated. This sentence was half true and half false. The first half was written randomly by Tang Ao, while the second half was written by Tang Ao according to the living soil. How does this kid know the origin of the frost flower? In a corner of the alchemy plaza, Luo Yu looked incredulously at the distant Tang Ao. Beside Luo Yu was another person, impressively Yin Yu. This kid is called Tang Ao. He's extremely crafty. Should I capture him and interrogate him now? Last time Yin Yu had chased Tang Ao had slipped away, causing Yin Yu to feel extremely humiliated. This time, Tang Ao was related to the frost flower, so Yin Yu naturally wanted to use this excuse to capture Tang Ao. Chapter 1074. However, Tang Ao has an appointment with me. 3 months later, he will personally go to the Black Crow Market to refine elixirs for me. It won't be too late to ask him then. Luo Yue seemed to trust Tang Ao very much, thinking that Tang Ao would definitely go back once he promised her. In fact, Tang Ao had no intention of going to the Black Crow Market now. Tang Ao just wanted to quickly find a way to return to the Black-Yellow continent after recovering his strength. It had been a year since Tang Ao left the Black-Yellow continent. Tang Ao did not know what was going on in the Black-Yellow continent. After Tang Ao finished describing the ice flower, Tang Ao was quite depressed to find that Tang Ao did not know any of the more than 10 medicinal herbs that appeared later. Tang Ao dared to make up for the ice flower just now, but Tang Ao could only skip all these medicinal herbs. Because Tang Ao was not sure if these spiritual herbs were unique to the ice and snow plane, it would be inevitable to give himself away if he continued to write nonsense. Perhaps he did not want Tang Ao to be eliminated prematurely, so after Tang Ao skipped 17 kinds of spiritual herbs, Tang Ao knew the next spiritual herbs that appeared. Although these spiritual herbs were relatively rare, Tang Ao had the Shennong Emperor's alchemy Dao inheritance, so these spiritual herbs obviously could not stop Tang Ao. Dang! Along with the crisp sound of the bell, 2 hours were up. The alchemists who advanced to the next round can rest for 2 hours. The rest of the alchemists can leave. The purple-robed old man on the high platform in the middle of the alchemy square said loudly. At the same time, the list behind the purple-robed old man also changed greatly. This time, Tang Ao's name appeared in the 9th place. Tang Ao scored 10 points in the first round, but in the second round, Tang Ao only scored 3 points. It was not that Tang Ao did not have the ability to get full marks, but because Tang Ao had wasted a lot of time on the ice flower. The 17 kinds of strange medicinal herbs that appeared after the ice flower also wasted a lot of Tang Ao's time. The one with the highest score in the second round was the little girl named Jin Yuyan, who got 7 points. Behind Jin Yuyan were Wu Yuan, Ji Feiqian, Cui Jing, and the others. In the first round, Yao Chen's score was only slightly better than Tang Ao's, scoring 4 points. I didn't expect Yao Chen and Tang Ao to be eliminated in the second round. That little girl named Jin Yuyan is really amazing. Tang Ao's and Mo Wen's results are already very good. After all, there are quite a number of famous top-notch alchemists in this alchemy conference. These 2 rounds were just small tests. The third round is alchemy. It's a test of true ability. Not bad, not bad. An alchemist only needs to have outstanding alchemy ability. Refining medicinal liquids and identifying medicinal herbs. That's just asking for trouble. Lower your voice. Have you forgotten how Song Yu died? After the end of the second round, Tang Ao was surprised by his current ranking. So far, the person who ranked first was beyond everyone's expectations. It was the mysterious Kaneki Ken. Kaneki Ken scored 10 points in the first round, 7 points in the second round, and now had a score of 19. 7 points. After Kaneki Ken, there were 8 people tied with 19. 5 points. These 8 people included Master Wu Yuan, Ji Feiqian, and a young man and woman from the Black Crow Market, followed by Yao Chen, who ranked 9th, and then Tang Ao, who scored 19. 3 points in the 10th place. Although Tang Ao was now only ranked 10th, many people still looked at Tang Ao, or rather, at the quota in Tang Ao's hand. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.